is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Casually FC call-in show. I'm accompanied here with my friend Oliver, and I am your host, Marshalldbdx. Together, we're going to be discussing a lot of the recent links with a new manager. As a lot of you know, POCH isn't going to stay, which some of you probably already assumed, and it's likely that he's not going to stay. We'll keep you informed if things change on that front. But we have been now heavily linked with three managers as of yesterday because there was release of a shortlist from Ben Jacobs. So we're going to be going over a few tweets and discussing a few of these managers as well. And as any call-in show, 15 minutes and 20 minutes into the show, we're going to be releasing the link to you guys. We would like to hear your takes on what you think about the Pochettino situation right now and what or who is your manager to potentially resolve it. So that being said, as always, guys, like the video, subscribe if you're new. Thank you for getting us to 2.5. I appreciate that. Big up to every single one of you who have subscribed. Okay, that was the loudest round of applause I've ever had to put myself through. So smash the like video for my eardrums shattering in that instance. But let's go ahead and start off the show with the first tweet I have here. So a few days ago, we had from Sammy Mockbell. Sources close to Chelsea ownership have indicated the club have already started looking at potential candidates to replace Mauricio Pochettino should they part ways. Next tweet right here from Jacob Steinberg. Whispers are already floating out of Stamford Bridge. Pochettino is already under review despite only arriving last summer. Well-placed sources have predicted a split if Chelsea, who are languishing in 11th place in the Premier League, miss out on their minimum expectation European qualification. That being said, we go on to the next one. There are now significant doubts over whether Chelsea are prepared to continue the partnership with Mauricio Pochettino heading into the season climax. He faces a crucial run of matches that are likely to determine his long-term future at Stamford Bridge, with club officials desperate to play in Europe next season. Then we have here, Chelsea appreciate Roberto De Zerbi, RUBEN AMORIM, XABI Alonso. Pochettino's future is not predetermined, however, and in an ideal world, they wouldn't want to make a change. So, Oliver, before we go on to the rest of the details about RUBEN AMORIM, XABI Alonso, De Zerbi, let's go back and discuss a little bit about Pochettino's current tenure, what you think may happen going into the summer, depending on what type of results, and maybe even a best case scenario, worst case scenario type of situation. Well, I'll start off with this. So it's been known that apparently Eghbali is relatively close to Poch in the sense of he's been the one backing him the most, and Bowley and everyone else kind of just going along for the ride. But then I heard vice versa as well, but I'm going to just go based on what I've seen and what I've read, which is Eghbali seems to support Poch staying. And I do have like a 10% to 15% worry that Pochettino might stay here until the next season, which I really, really hope is not the case. Really hope is not the case. But for the most part, I think that with enough pressure from the fan base and pressure to not make, any type of European football, I think Eghbali's hand will be forced. I don't think they're going to sack the board, which I think are also part of the problem that led up to this whole situation. However, I think the board will be given time to see if their image of the football club or what their project is starts to merit some fruit. But yeah, I just don't think, considering the FA Cup run we have, the teams that are left in that run, considering where we are in the Premier League. I don't see us making Europe. And I think once Poch gets knocked out of the FA Cup, it's completely sealed. If he were to win the FA Cup, obviously that gets you Europa League or at least a Europa playoff spot, if I'm not mistaken. Chat, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. And in which case, if he were to get Europe and still be shit in the table, I think he buys himself time for next season. But I would like to hear your thoughts, Oliver, on all this.
It's really hard to tell, to be honest, because I mean, there's just not enough evidence on this ownership and these directors and sort of what their standards are. I mean, we can go off what's already been happening, and that's why I'm not surprised he's still here, because with Graham Potter they left it too late, and it appears they're doing the same thing now. But you know, we've never gotten Europe under this ownership, so it's hard for me to say if that would outweigh our league performances. And in that one, we just have to wait and see, I guess. But yeah, it's just a frustrating one, because we're leaving it to the last minute again. If not, then we're leaving it too late. And you know, we've been saying it on this channel. It's been clear for months that this isn't going to work. And the only reason this is acceptable is if they don't want to go down the interim route. But then they clearly, it's just so difficult, because you need to realise that this guy is not going to get you European football. We're 11th for a reason, and these guys clearly rate the players that they've bought. So then that only leaves one underlying factor to all this. That is Pochettino. So I just struggle to comprehend all of the thought processes that go on behind the scenes about this and how it's being allowed to happen. And then getting briefed to death, there's pressure on him, it's unacceptable. Well, there isn't pressure if there's no consequences. So it's a very confusing one. I'm just sort of waiting. I'm just sort of taking it day by day, seeing what happens, if there's any news from a big Ornstein or something, But from there, it's just speculation, really, because, like I said, there's not enough of a sample size in this ownership with decisions they've made.
Big up Curry Pirate. Before I go to you, I do want to say, if you're watching on Twitter, give this tweet a retweet, or give the show a retweet. I think that's how it works. I don't know, but give it a retweet. And if you're over here on YouTube space, go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, help us get to 3,000. We just hit 2.5 thanks to you guys, so I appreciate all the support. Curry Pirate, I'll go ahead and pass the question over on to you that I asked Oliver, and then I also conjured about, which is, I feel like there is a possibility that Poch gets time for next season if he were to win the FA Cup, for example. Other than that, though, I do feel like 90% it's likely he's going to get sacked at the end of the season. Where do you stand on that? Like, what's your gut telling you about the future for Pochettino?
He has to get sacked. He maybe there's like more hopium, but like he needs to get sacked. There's no way in hell this management is going to allow him to stay a season. I don't care if we get European football. This is not the European football that should keep you in the role. This is Conference League that we might get depending on, if Liverpool win the Europa and like Villa win their league, so then it drops down to 7th position or 8th position, and then we can grab it. So it's all circumstantial, even more so. So no way in hell should that be allowed. And we win an FA Cup, so we go to Europa. Okay, cool, but we're still 10th in the league? Who gives a shit? That just means we're still not consistent.
Okay. Do you see a possibility for Poch to get some consistency with this team given more time?
No, because he doesn't even keep the squad consistent himself, so how's he going to get consistent results? Gotcha.
I mean, injuries, right? I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No,
Poch out. Please don't kill me.
No.
Please don't kill me, man.
No.
I am 100% Poch out.
No, fair enough. But then he rotates the front line like it's nothing. He'll put when Nkunku's healthy, he'll put him as striker for no reason, and then Jackson's on the wing one season. one side, and then he's not. Then Sterling's in, then Sterling's not. Then Modric is in, Madueke is in. And he loves killing confidence, you know. When Madueke is doing well, time to throw him into the bench again. Or Modric, when he scores a goal, let's put him into the bench. So, I think the only consistent is the back line right now.
Okay.
Of like,
True.
What looks like
Disasi's always on there.
Yeah, Petrovic, Gusto, Disasi. It looks like Kolencho. That's your back line. And I guess he's gonna run Enzo and Caicedo to the ground. So I use this everything in front of that. That's not consistent. But that also means having a consistent style of play, which we realized in the first half were really good, and then the second half we're a relegation fodder team. So how does that work?
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Let me go ahead and continue reading about this. Let's read about now some of these options that were presented to Chelsea, or not presented to Chelsea, I should say, but presented to us, the fan base, as what could potentially be the short list for who is to replace Mauricio Pochettino. So, like you guys heard me say here, and I'll reread it again. Ben Jacobs tweeting here, or reporting here, that Chelsea appreciate Roberto De Zerbi, Ruben Amorim, and XABI Alonso. Pochettino's future is not predetermined. However, in an ideal world, they wouldn't want to make a change, which, I mean, in an ideal world, everything would have worked out. So I get where they're coming from for that. But let's go ahead and continue on here. So Chelsea could pay compensation fee to take yet another member of staff from Brighton, but it's unlikely. This tweet was confusing. I think Matt Law was drunk. But if I were to, translate, I think he meant De Zerbi and not Unai Emery, or I think he's talking about De Zerbi. But it's unlikely Unai Emery would give up control at Aston Villa to join Chelsea and put his neck on the line for Boli and Ibali, unless he actually means there's links between.
Well, he mentioned Aston Villa, so it would have to be.
Yeah, I don't know.
It has to be Unai Emery.
He is the only person talking about Unai Emery being a link to Chelsea. I haven't heard that anywhere else. But he says staff of Brighton, so I don't know. This is a weird tweet. I thought it was actually related to De Zerbi, but let's continue on. Manchester United or other clubs looking at Roberto De Zerbi as a potential manager will have to pay compensation upwards of £12 million. This to secure the Italian from Brighton this summer. Coming from Mike McGrath there. XABI Alonso, also on that short list, is highly appreciated by Begdad Bali, who would like to make him the next Chelsea manager. And this was from last month, actually. So this was reported earlier than the most recent reports about Poch potentially getting the sack. This is slightly a pipe dream, but the interest is there. The link is there, so I might as well report it. And it technically is on that short list. Then we have here, XABI Alonso has made no decision about his future. There were no negotiations between Bayern and Alonso yet. Alonso didn't say to Bayern he prefers a move to Munich over Liverpool. Leverkusen would demand a fee for Alonso, but no discussions have taken place, according to Bild. So we go on and discuss Ruben Amorim now, who has been heavily linked with the club since last season. So Ruben Amorim on list of multiple clubs in Premier League ahead of summer domino for managers. Excellent work at Sporting and interest growing. Release clause is into current contract is 30 million euros. We go on here. Chelsea have a long-standing interest in Ruben Amorim at Sporting Lisbon, but the Portuguese is expected to have high-profile options who can offer him European football next season, according to Sami Makbel. Then we have here Fabrizio Romano reporting, as for Amorim links, it's a possibility for him to leave Lisbon in the summer. Yes, it's not guaranteed yet, but he'd be open to considering top clubs. At the moment, he's not in direct contact with any club, but he's appreciated in England for sure. And then we have here, Ruben Amorim has a £30 million release cost. Liverpool and other clubs appreciated him. Let's also see what happens at Chelsea. So that's all the tweets I have in regards to these other managers. But out of this short list, and I know, Curry, I know you want Inzaghi. I think you want De Zerbi, don't you, Oliver?
I originally wanted Amorim. like when we were first sort of starting to think about these, I like Amorim's stuff, but without watching him too much, like I had seen a few games and I like what I saw, but I've seen some analysis recently that definitely raises some concerns. Particularly, he basically and if this analysis is to be believed, and this is what he does most games, then he basically does what Poch does, where he gets one of his pivots to run into the 10 position, and you're just exposing your midfield. So, from a tactical point of view, that is very concerning. Despite the fact, granted, you're going to have a back three that's going to be able to protect or be able to cope with the lack of cover even more. But even still, we saw at times under Tuchel how much it can limit you when you have a player like Jorginho, for as good as he is on the ball, maybe not so accomplished off the ball. But you run into problems when players aren't equipped to handle situations like that, regardless of how many centre backs you got. So I think now I'm leaning more to De Zerbi. The Caicedo link and the Colwell link, that's a very obvious one.
Did you? But question, hold on. Did you have a preference prior to this shortlist, or was it always De Zerbi?
No, I preferred Amorim. Well, I preferred Amorim at first, but I've seen stuff recently.
Even prior to all these, I was about to say Jose. All this, Poch is about to get sacked and all that stuff. Even before the links,
you're including XABI Alonso on the shortlist, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's a tough one with XABI because he's done great work at Bayern, but it's just that he's not been there for very long, and it's not.
Was XABI your first pick prior to the shortlist?
I mean, not
That's
really.
What I'm trying to figure out, Oliver. Who was your first pick? Like, was it Tuchel? Was it Hansi Flick? Like, who was your first pick?
I'd probably say at first, at the very beginning, probably Hansi Flick. Like, just as someone who's done good things at Bayern, he has a good style of play. He's integrated young players over there. I liked his stuff, but I've definitely changed my mind with some thought, some time to think about things.
So yeah, I mean, the reason I asked that is because now that the shortlist has come out, look, this is more of a realistic. Ahmed will come on when the link drops. Call-in show, I usually rotate the panels, so Ahmed had a nice 15 minutes off before he comes on at some point. But so yeah, prior to this list dropping, you guys know I wanted either Tuchel, Sarri, or Hansi Flick. Now with this list dropping, it makes it a little bit more realistic. Obviously, these were all, like, to a certain extent, Sarri and Tuchel were kind of pipe dreams. Don't think that was going to happen, but that was just like what I would have wanted. But now that we had this short list and these are more realistic targets per se, because they have release clauses and are going to be looking for either, in XABI Alonso's case, another club or staying at Leverkusen. Now with this list, this more realistic list, I should say, I can't say that I would be upset with any of these managers. And I don't feel like I'm settling if we were to go with any of them. It doesn't feel like Poch all over again. I feel like all these managers do have their strengths and weaknesses. And after doing a little bit of research, they do have their strengths and weaknesses. Obviously, XABI Alonso is probably the most preferred one because of what he's doing at Leverkusen. But that aside, I mean, that could be like a one-time thing and we never see it again. Like, it's an anomaly what's happening over at the Bundesliga. But if I had to choose between the three, I'm leaning towards Amorim, simply because I feel like what you don't like from Amorim, Oliver, I feel like you're going to get the same exact thing with De Zerbi as well. And what makes me lean more towards Amorim is the fact that he is a little bit more flexible in how he sets up his tactic and style of play. And it's also a three at the back. I think both managers have a style of play that leave their midfields exposed. And that goes for well, I can't speak for XABI, to be honest. XABI seems to have figured out something with a three in the back system that works for him. But I mean, Curry Pirate, I'd like to hear what you have to say about in either of these options. And I know you wanted Inzaghi, but assuming Inzaghi's not available, and you had to choose between these three, where do you land? Where is your preference here?
Pay all the money in the world for Xabi Alonso. I do not care. This man has a chance
Why
of winning.
Xabi?
This man has a chance of winning a treble.
Mhm.
Like a baby version of a treble. He's gonna walk this league. Like walk it. Not even like a lot. He's 10 points ahead already. For a team that's called Leverkusen. They have one trophy in their entire history. Even when Balak was there.
Curry, quick question for you actually, because JC, this bothers me a bit. Where were Leverkusen last season in terms of place finish
relegation?
in the
They were
table?
relegated. Like I was talking to Steve earlier, and the whole thing was they were in relegation zone, kind of like
when he joined, they were relegation.
Kind of how when Emery took over Villa,
Mhm.
relegation fodder, and then midway through the season just brought them up to I think.
So they're not in Europe, right?
7th or 4th. No, they're not.
No,
they're
they finished
in
5th.
Europa.
They were in
They're
Europe.
in Europa. They're in Europa.
No, but I mean that they weren't in Europe this season, right?
No, this season they are. Last season they won. That's what I'm saying. He has a chance.
No, last season. Hang on, last season they were actually in the Champions League,
Champions League. Sorry, yeah.
but they didn't qualify for the. That was the previous season they qualified for the
But
Champions League.
this season that they're currently in, they're not playing any European football.
No,
they're in Europa League.
They're in Europa League.
They're in Europa League.
Yeah.
So
how
Xabi
did they get
Alonso
to
basically
Europa
brought them from relegation to 5th, and that's how they
Oh,
qualified. for
okay.
Europe.
Because
Yeah,
here's the
like
thing.
bring them
Here's the thing that bothers me about JC's comment here, and not even just JC. And I don't mean to pick on you, JC. I think it's just an overall consensus from the general fan base is that because we are so shit, a manager wouldn't want to come to the club. Xabi Alonso went to Leverkusen when they were in their worst. So this idea that manager won't come to your club if you're not performing at the top level is ridiculous. If the money is there, if the glory is there, because a lot of these managers have huge egos as well. If the glory is there, if the opportunity for them to be the one that saved Chelsea is there, they'll do it. They'll do it. They don't care. A job is a job at the end of the day. And if the money is there, if they feel like they can be backed and supported, and they feel like they can be the solution, they will take the job. So this idea that all these are unrealistic, I think is ridiculous. All we need to do is pay the clause for the ZERBI or Amorim, and they're our manager next season. It's not going to take much.
I will say
I'm sorry,
with
Curry. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Sorry, I will say with Alonso though, like there are some differences between the Bayer Leverkusen situation and the situation that Chelsea are in right now, and some of these things do make him joining Chelsea would be a massive risk for his young developing career. A bit like not to the same extent, but like Lampard.
Xabi Alonso.
Yeah.
Yes, Xabi Alonso. Yeah, like I think there are differences between our situation and Leverkusen's situation that could make this a massive risk if he does come here. I think the biggest one is like he did well with them last season, but then he went into the transfer window. He went to the market, and he bought Grimaldo and Xhaka and I think a few other players. He brought in the experienced players because he's a young coach, and you can't have a young guy leading young players. That's not going to be sustainable. He got in these older, experienced guys. Xhaka, I think he's 31 or something and whatnot. He's played. He's been playing in Europe for all of his career. And you got Grimaldo, who's been a very, very good left back at Benfica for years. He's 28 years old. So I think if we bring him in, we're gonna have to change our strategy because you're just throwing him into a situation at Chelsea where you're going to have much more eyes on you because this is the Premier League, and you're a young guy that's going to be leading young players, and that's just you want a competent leader who actually knows what he's doing. You can't have everyone learning on the job because then no one's going to know what to do, and everyone's just going to be pointing fingers and looking at each other what to do. So that yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the points, to be honest, Marshall. For Xabi Alonso, I don't think he's going to Liverpool per se, but he's either going to stay an extra year in Leverkusen and just wait for the Madrid job because Ancelotti's gone after next season because it's only a 2-year extension, and then, or he just gets the Bayern job after Tuchel leaves. Like if I'm him, I just want the league with Leverkusen. Why don't I just join the most successful team in the league? Maybe just bring in Grimaldo with me because Alphonso Davies is going to Madrid, and then like just balance that team out. I'll be comfortably leading the league again because my tactics are the best. I have the best team in the league. Why would I risk going to a 10th place Chelsea and rebuilding that when I can just go for a historic club in Champions League, get them back to first place instead of being second? Big upgrade, not really, right? You have Harry Kane. Like, you just bring us a few signings in, and there you go. Like, I'm retooled and ready to fight for Champions League now. For him specifically, right? And plus, he has a special release clause where he's allowed to get out with former clubs, and Bayern and Madrid are two of them. Right? They're more appealing, I think, than the Liverpool job because you have an aging Salah and like the whole back line, and you're fighting against Man City when if you're joining Bayern Munich, you just have no one else, right? Like you have Leverkusen who you just ditch, and you're probably going to take some of their best players with you, right? Like a Julian Wirtz and a Grimaldo or whoever you want, and just retool, With Amorim, I think we generally have a chance, but it depends on how active we are, right? Like, we were trying to buy that club last year, so we have some connections, right? But it depends on how active we are in terms of communication with that club and with Amorim, because United are probably going to go for him, and there are other openings as well. But that's the thing. Like, I think Michel from Girona is probably going to take the Barca job, and then maybe like a Flick or Nagelsmann might just take the Liverpool job. So it doesn't leave it's not like we're competing against too many people, because we kind of know some of where the chairs might be sat at. But we're still going to go against a United team who has a very quote unquote, like, they're building the Avengers of the backroom staff with like the City people, the Barcelona people, whoever they're hiring, so I think that's our major competition is probably United for Amorim, more so.
Yeah. I hear you. Ahmed, welcome to the show, man. Welcome back. By the way, for those of you who do want to join in and have your say in the call-in show, if you're over on YouTube, the link is pinned to the top comment, so you can go ahead and, or to the top of the chat, I should say, you can go ahead and that'll bring you over to the show. But yeah, so Ahmed, I guess I'll pass. I'm curious to know what your thought process is here and where you're thinking and where you're leaning towards. I'm sure you heard we have the 3-man shortlist that came out. You got the ZERBI as one of the options, XABI Alonso, as well as Ruben Amorim. Now, despite what people in the chat may think, I think the ZERBI and Amorim are very possible. And despite what Curry Pirate thinks as well, I mean, I agree. I feel like XABI Alonso is kind of a pipe dream, but it is what it is. But I feel like with the ZERBI or an Amorim, it's very possible that this project can entice them, and they can do something here. Mind you, also, I feel like these two managers primarily suit the team, if that makes any sense. But I do have my concerns for each one. But enough of me talking. Ahmed, what do you think? Who's your choice of the three and why?
I currently don't really have a choice, I would say. For me personally, I think fundamentally speaking right now, if you're Chelsea, I think fundamentally speaking, probably you've got two guys that we're probably looking at right now, which is Amorim and I would say XABI. I think for me, with XABI Alonso, I feel like he's more than likely going to go to Bayern. I feel like they're probably going to throw the book at him more than anything else compared to Liverpool. They will to be able to come and get their man, which they are known to do so. I think fundamentally speaking, the other issue you're going to have with him is with all these managers, before we even get to saying I want X manager, I want Y manager for his or her school of thought or tactics, whatever you want to call it, is our board gonna change what the style of guys they're gonna bring in? What I mean by that is that, are we gonna go for now a bit more experience? Are we going to allow the managers to have some level of input now in terms of transfers, where they're allowed to say who they want and we actually go after it? Or is it still going to be a similar situation to what we have had with the previous two managers? And that's before we get to any other manager in and within itself. because I think any manager now that comes to Chelsea, they're going to demand, whether we want to admit or not, transfer control. They're going to demand that now because of like similar transfers that have happened. I feel like right now with the team that we have currently, what you really need to add now is the experience, and what are those? And any manager that comes is going to ask for those for that level of experience. Now, I'm already hearing the club are trying to go for Nico Williams. I'm hearing about Osimhen, which might be a dead-on transfer. But who's to say De Zerbi and Amorim want those two players? Let's say they don't want them. So then, or are we just not doing a similar situation to what we've done to both Potter and to the other manager, right? Where they've literally said no and no. Right? We're running into a similar situation, basically. And I think for me, that fundamentally speaking, any transfers need to be halted. We need to, first of all, speak to these managers, ask them, listen, this is Chelsea. What do you want? What do you want? What you know, both give and take. Yes, Chelsea can ask for this. We've got these players here. We want them to be developed. I want them to take them to the next level and to give us Champions League football, and then obviously to win the title from there. But they're going to be like, yeah. But as I've always said, yeah. But as I've always said before, they're gonna be like, okay, but I need to bring in some players that I believe are gonna add to the squad, and you need to agree with that with me. Now, yes, on some level, and other clubs, yes, managers don't need to do that. But like, if you're at Real Madrid, they're giving you the best of the best. But at Chelsea, for example, maybe you can have some level of levity, some level of appreciation where they can bring in the guy that they want for you. So I think at the end of the day, bro, before we even speak on managers, we need to make sure that we as the club are willing to give some level of sporting direction to these managers, that if we truly believe in, and allow us to bring in the players that they want.
Okay. You know, Ahmed, I didn't realize you were such a bitch, bro. I asked you to pick a manager and you can't decide. What is going on, bro? All right, listen. I get what you're saying. Obviously, no.
The reason why
I get what. Hold on. I understand everything you're saying. I understand that, you know, a lot more needs to change than just a manager at this club. I think we all understand that. I am working with the parameters that are been set in front of me. I am working with the assumption that the director's not going to change for at least another season. I genuinely just don't think Win Stanley or Lawrence Stewart are going to leave next season. We're stuck with them. I am working under the clause that we're still going to do this youth model. Maybe we bring in some experienced players, but I haven't heard any links or rumors. Neither have you. Neither have any of us here about experienced players coming to this club. So under that circumstance, I have to think now, because we're not linked with a Hansi Flick. We're not linked with these, you know, Tuchel or Sarri or these top tier managers, even Mourinho. We're not linked with the best of the best, whether you believe those guys are in that category. So that being said, out of these managers, I can see them to a certain extent working with what they have. And we saw that Pochettino's not that guy. So when you ask me the question that I just asked you, who of these three do you pick? You know, that's another reason why I go towards Amorim, because Amorim, for as long as he's been at Porto, has had his team picked apart over and over and over. You look at the amount of talents that have left Porto, or Sporting, I should say, and there's a lot of talents there. Pedro Porro, Paulinho, Bruno Fernandes, back a few years back, so on and so forth.
Can I ask you a question? That also happened to the ZERBI when he was at Italy too.
It's happening in the ZERBI right now in Brighton.
So they both. So it's happened to them both. So
yeah,
I think that for me is a non sequitur, because they both happened to them, and they
both work with what they have, though. That's my point. But okay, you know what?
But for me, fundamentally, though. But for me, Marshall, fundamentally, though, I don't think we can Chelsea accept that anymore. I hate to tell it to you, bro, but I don't think, we
don't have a choice.
No. But the point is, bro, I'll be honest with you, that fundamentally speaking, we have to give these guys now some level of power. Now, I
I
understand.
get that, Ahmed, but we've beaten this horse. We've beaten this.
No, but no.
Horse
But
dead.
yes, no. We can beat this horse as many times as we like, though, because it has to happen now. That's the difference.
No, I get that, Ahmed. But Ahmed, I'm not gonna have a call-in show where we have the same discussion about the ownership and over again.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not having that with you, though, bro. I'm saying to
Okay.
you though, like, whoever we pick, whether we want to admit it or not, they need to have some level of contingent of power. Now, the question is gonna be for me, if that is the case, who do I trust more to bring in talent? And that's where I think we should be really, asking ourselves, who is gonna be, be able to bring in talent? That's the real question we've got to ask.
Yeah, but let me ask you guys something. Whoever here happens to know, do we know if the ZERBI or Amorim had any pull power or any say on what players were brought into the club?
Of course not.
At Sporting or at Brighton?
I don't know about Sassuolo and when was that? I forgot what the other club
Shakhtar.
In Ukraine.
Shakhtar.
Oh, Shakhtar. Yeah. So I don't know, bro.
That's what I mean. Like, it's not like we're bringing in these managers and they've worked under conditions where they got what they wanted and all that stuff. The ZERBI didn't want to get rid of Moises Caicedo. We know this.
I want to talk about that, Marshall, because I think that is a big advantage to the ZERBI. Colwell and Caicedo were already here.
Go for it.
And Mudryk, he's coach Mudryk too, technically.
Okay. I mean, yeah. Okay. So, just to spice this up a little bit too, I'll tell you, as much as I've told you why I want Amorim, I'm going to tell you why I don't want the ZERBI. And one of the reasons that does concern me, from what I've heard, from the little research I've done in the last 24 hours, is that the ZERBI's training is just as intense as Poch's, which would probably explain why he has so many injuries this season at Brighton. Because as much as I want to banter and say, oh, the ZERBI's a fraud, he's been found out and all this and that, which to a certain extent maybe he has, but I can't excuse the fact that, or I can't ignore the fact that he's had an injury-stricken team. We're looking at Poch now, and a few of us here have looked at Poch and been like, hey, these injuries are happening off the pitch. What is going on in training? Do you guys feel the same way about the ZERBI?
Who are the key injuries?
By the way, can I ask you a question, by the way, as well? I have another question before we get into this. You do realize there's apparently a mysterious fourth option now that's on the list. That's not including these three.
Antonio Conte.
Okay, let's be real. Okay, it's not
No,
probably
I don't
Conte. It's not probably Conte, but honestly, there is apparently a fourth choice now that's including that full list.
Slot?
No, I don't think it's him actually either. I think for me, it's not either him. It's not Frank. It's probably going to be another. I think it's actually going to be a German coach. I would reckon it'd either be the RB Leipzig manager. Marco Rose, or I've had a theory. Rose.
Marco Rose. Yeah.
And the other guy for me, sadly, is going to be. It might actually be O'Neill, the guy that I've from the Wolves manager. It wouldn't surprise me because if you think about it, a lot of these guys, a lot of the time, a lot of these people. No, but you have to think about it. I feel like that might actually make sense as well if you think about the type of managers they're looking at. O'Neill, up and coming manager, has been doing really well. That's obviously been doing quite a good thing. So you never know. He actually could be there too, bro. If they like Thomas Frank, imagine what they think about the Wolves manager.
Oh yeah, Thomas Frank is.
The thing of the Stuttgart manager, is that, and I was saying this to actually Will today, is that if the Stuttgart manager was a choice, then the Girona manager would also have to be a choice too, in my opinion, because they both, have had a standout season this season. So I would expect for both the Girona manager and the Stuttgart manager to both be involved.
Were you guys going to add to that?
I'm also trying. That's part of this.
All right, I think.
Are you going through your notes, Pirate?
Can I can respond to this. you're talking about a guy who literally gets all his players taken, and Poch is apparently at his worst. So what you did? You just think he's gonna get better? Is this like a thing of like no matter what, he's just a better manager? Like there's no did Mourinho always stay the same? Or did he drop off at some point?
Are you asking about the ZERBI?
Yeah, he's saying with regards to the ZERBI, like that comment about Brighton only being like 3 points behind, and this is Poch's worst season. This is Poch at his worst right here. Imagine firing Poch for the ZERBI. Poch is only 3 points behind Brighton. Why does Poch need to be 3 points behind Brighton in the first place when they just lost Moises Caicedo and so many other people? How shouldn't he be 3 points ahead, for example? And
someone tell me who they take in Brighton over in this Chelsea team.
Yeah, please do.
I think the only player I'd take is probably Mitoma and Estepinian. That's just because of how bad our options are. I'm not saying I'd take them, but if you present to me one or the other, I'd.
1 second. I'll tell you a few that I actually would take at Chelsea.
I'm not even a big ZERBI fan because I want managers who have won shit. So that's why I'm more of an Amorim guy myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just I went to. Sorry,
Andrew always trolling, man.
All right, guys. Yeah, so this is who I would take personally. Yeah.
He's coming to a decision. Look at him. All right, wait. Can I give you the drum roll? Let me give you the drum roll.
No. I'm talking about the Brighton. Who I take from Brighton?
God damn it. Okay.
I definitely would take Incisco, Adingra, João Pedro. Maybe João Pedro.
Oh, I forgot about Pedro. Maybe I'll take.
Mitoma. I wouldn't mind having. You know what, Billy G. He wouldn't be too bad to help back, I would say. Estepinian, of course. And honestly, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So again, there's a few players, of course, you would take from there at the end of the day. But I just think fundamentally speaking, the question, I think for me, the question is going to be, who do you like as a manager that tactically sets up, and have you seen them improve players? So that's the question you got to ask yourself. And I think obviously with my guy De Zerbi, I think he's definitely improved the team to a whole lot of a level. That is for sure. Amorim's done the same, but there is other managers out there that have done it quite well. You look at Marco Rose. Since Nagels has left, he's actually really improved that team. They've become better. The players are looking a lot better. Obviously, he's been getting the best out of currently Javi Simmons. Openda's really been out levels. So there are other managers there that have done similar things and that have got their team to higher levels. So that is not. I feel like we shouldn't just be looking at the flashy names, but also names that are going to be able to provide you some good stuff. So obviously he's one. I know obviously a lot of people talk about the Stuttgart manager who's been having a good season as well. Honestly, if he hadn't come to Chelsea right now, I would have said Sarri would have been perfect for this current situation as well, in my personal opinion. So that's someone else that I would definitely consider for sure. I'm just really trying to think. But that's pretty much.
It's not like I picked these managers because they're the only ones I know. Obviously, there are other managers that could potentially come to Chelsea and do a job, but we're just not linked to them. Listen, the link with the ZERBI, because of how much we recruit from Brighton and how much work we do with Brighton and Tony Bloom over there, it just seems that it could easily happen. And Amorim, we were linked with last season. Now, before you ask the question, it's like, whose style of football you like them more, right? And who improved more players? I would argue that Amorim has improved more players than De Zerbi. You look at how his team was just picked apart over and over again. I wish I had the list of players. There's and proper players from Sporting. What were we gonna say, Curry?
No, to add on to that, De Zerbi is the one who knocked out this 95% in the league Arsenal last year in the Europa League. Mm-hmm. So he's doing his thing, and he's won the league twice in Sporting, who haven't won the league when the first time he won it in like 20 years or something, like quite a while. So that's the thing with him, right? Like he's doing the things that almost Xabi Alonso is doing for his league. And no offense to Victor, I know he's not defending Poch all the time, but like, bro, Poch is not an elite manager.
No.
Poch is a
like
good
all the
manager,
managers,
but he's not elite. So he, like right now, Alonso, if he wins this league or he wins the league and Europa, is already having a better record as a manager than Xabi Alonso. And this is the same team that was in relegation fodder last year and is now destroying their league against Bayern Munich by 10 points. They're still in the Pokal and they're still in the Europa League.
The other thing I wanted to add was I think as much as I banter the ZERBI and I call the guy a fraud and all that stuff, I still think he's a good manager. And I still think he's beyond better than Poch. I think all these managers are better than Poch, despite maybe being I guess not as active, or maybe that's not the right word, but they're definitely not as big of a name as Poch, or I feel like Poch has been around for a little longer than they have been. I could be wrong about that, but going back to what we were talking about with I guess Amorim and the ZERBI comparisons, is that another reason I am leaning more towards Amorim is that I feel like Amorim would strive to win trophies and titles, and he has already done it at Sporting, whereas De Zerbi has been quoted saying that he just wants to play his football despite, you know, winning trophies and all this and that. And not only that, he won a trophy. Well, he won a trophy over in Shakhtar, which it wasn't the league trophy. It was just like I guess their version of Community Cup, and then another trophy in a lower division in Serie A in his time there. Or was it Serie A or was it Serie B? I don't remember where he was in Italy.
He would have been Sassuolo would have been Serie A.
Serie A.
Sassuolo
Okay.
is a mid-table up there.
Yeah. So
again, like, I don't really care about what people say in their quotes, bro. Like, again, you have Pochettino. We shouldn't be following his every single word. You know what I mean? We know that guy just chats shit for fun. For me, if he wants to play both beautiful football, let him play his beautiful football. And he'll improve the players, we'll get coaching, we'll improve as a squad. And if he reaches us to the Champions League level and we compete and we just can't reach that final hurdle, we can just switch him out for another guy that's going to help to finish it off for us. So for me, I don't really care if he wants to win trophies or not. I care about improving the team, improving our players so that we can get into UCL football firstly and get these guys to the position that we need them to be in a year or two.
I think it also depends on what you value from a manager. Like with the ZERBI, if I want to take those quotes seriously that he just wants to play his football and have fun rather than win trophies, well, it depends what you want, because obviously I want to win Premier League titles, but we can literally have De Zerbi just develop these players up to a point where they're like 26 years old and they're at a good place, you know, both in their terms of their ability. Maybe they get a bit more of that mentality, and then you bring in the winner. Like, I think we've had this conversation with like Graham Potter and now Pochettino before. We're not asking you to win the league title in 2 seasons. We're just asking you to develop.
yeah, but I mean, if we're going to be building a project with a manager, surely, like, I do want. I feel like I could have both, and I don't think I'm being greedy by asking for both. Like, let's get a manager that can develop these players and also have them competing for trophies. Otherwise, we're just going to be Arsenal, where Arsenal are right now.
Yep, I agree with that. Why do we need to do this whole like get us to a certain level thing? I don't want this. This is Poch's mindset. This is exactly Poch's mindset.
But fundamentally though, it's not even. I would disagree. I think fundamentally though, we have to also look at where are we, who do we have, and what can we do going forward. And I don't think we'll win the title in the next year or two. Like, let's be real, boys.
We came close to winning it with Poch this year, except he was a coward.
I said title. I didn't say FA Cup,
listen,
Club Cup.
I don't
That's a
really care
title.
for.
The-
I don't
the
care
main-
what
the
you
main
win. I
aim-
just want silverware.
No, but the main aim for Chelsea should be titles. I don't really
Yes,
win the FA
but
Cup and win
we
the
don't
Carabao
have to-
Cup. Listen, but
Yeah,
winning the FA
but-
Cup, but bro, winning the FA Cups and Carabao Cups for me is gravy. I would say that's gravy. I want the main meal though.
Sure,
The
but
main
we have
meal
to.
should be
But
the-
it's a step in the right direction. That's my
No,
point.
but if listen, the point I'm trying to make it is if Poch can take you, well, if Poch can already take you to win a Carabao Cup for your team, should you really be caring about I need to win the Carabao Cup now, or should I be really caring about improving these players and getting them to a stage where they can win us Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues? Because
You have to-
again, if Poch has already proven that he can take us to the Carabao Cup and we are getting to quarterfinals or semi-finals of the FA Cup, that doesn't really for me matter because I can already see in my head we're already getting to that stage.
Sure.
We know as a team the team's level's already there. We just need to improve them now to go and help us to move on and win the UCL and the Premier League. Why do I care about? Oh, I've got the Carabao Cup. Oh, I've got the FA Cup. Yes, I'm happy as a fan, but the main one is what we should be aiming for, bro. That's what I'm looking at.
I get that, but bro, before you have dessert, you gotta have dinner. You know what I'm saying? Like,
We have dessert after dinner.
yeah, well, not necessarily. I don't
Main
know
course.
what you do in
The
your
main course
culture,
before
bro.
dinner.
I don't know. I don't know if you
I mean, that
decide
was
to
a
have your
slick
ice
line.
cream.
I'm not gonna lie.
I got
was a
bars
slick
to
line.
see.
I was
No,
gonna
yeah,
say,
I
I was
got
gonna say the main
bars.
course before dinner, but you know, ain't.
Yeah, but no, what I'm trying to say is that you gotta be able to walk before you run. And I get, like, don't get me wrong, I want to win the Champions League, I want to win the Premier League, I want to win all that. But this is a young team, and at least getting that trophy in their pocket, that can imbue that confidence to go on and be like, yo, we can do this. We almost did it. Let's actually do it and say we are this team. We can do this.
No, I hate the point, but for me, I think what I'm trying to say is, yeah, if we win a Carabao Cup or FA Cup is fine. I don't really care about that. I'm caring more so about squad development. That's what.
Yeah. I mean,
that's
I
the
agree
angle.
with that.
So see,
But I
because,
want
like,
both.
You can want to win a Carabao Cup, FA Cup. I don't mind, but for me, I'm looking at squad development specifically. I want us, like, let's say, the new guy comes in July the 1st, 2024. I want to be able to say in May 2025, we're in somewhere like, let's say, the top 4, for example. What's it called? My team has improved. The players have improved. They're getting the DNA that we're expecting from them, and we've gotten these new guys in, and then we bring in 1 or 2 or 3 more players in, and then bang, we are competing for that title. And then yes, the FA Cup's a must, Carabao Cup's a must, the Champions League's a must, right? Winning the Carabao FA Cup within that season is also going to be a primary concern, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I think the biggest trophy, I'll say for lack of a better term, for the next manager is going to be getting into Europe. So either that's improving through the league or actually winning one of these trophies to get you into Europe. I think that's a big plus for me, but that's because my standard has dropped so much because that's where Chelsea are right now. But Nyack, what's going on, man? Welcome to the channel. Been here for a hot minute. Nice to see and hear. I'm not seeing you, but nice to hear from you again. How have you been, brother? And what are your thoughts on this whole shortlist? Amorim, XABI Alonso, ZERBI.
Hey man, it's great to be on here, man. I'm a huge fan. I'm always in the comment section just chatting shit. And
you've been on before, haven't you? I feel like you've been on the channel before. You haven't called in before?
No. Every time you have the call-in show, like I'm always at work. Like it's like
all right, cool,
random. But hey, I have a day off today, so it's a great conversation to have. My 100%. Opinion, like I think it's interesting. Between ZERBI, between Amorim and Alonso. Like in a perfect world, I would choose Alonso just because he's winning a league. He's shown that he can build a team from scratch. Of course, that's assuming that we actually, bring in have like an actual DOF who understands that we need to find experience to supplement the young talent that we already have, which I don't believe we do have. If you're telling me that we're going to be picking the next coach with the 2 directors that we have now, Alonso, it's a pipe dream. So I would have to find out. I would have to know like who's going to be, if there's going to be a DOF coming in this summer, whether it's Ragnick or Luis Campos or even Michael Edwards. That would be my first pick, to be honest with you. But in a perfect world, Alonso. Who I think may be the pick out of the other two, it would be Amorim, just because of the fact that he has a consistent track record of winning at multiple clubs, winning trophies, I should say, at multiple clubs, and also he's not tied down to a set form of tactics. He's kind of in that Ancelotti mode as far as he builds his program based off of who he has at his disposal. Because last year they were more of an counter-attacking squad. This year they're more possession-based, even though they're in a back three. So that tells me that he's very adaptable and that he really goes based off of who he has at his disposal. Which, to be honest with you, I don't know if he will. I don't know. It'll be interesting if we do pick Amorim and if he moves to a back five with us, just because our center backs, they're not very good at defending in the wide spaces, the ones that we have now. So that'll be interesting. Or if he'll go to a 4-3-3, which he hasn't really used as much. He's used it before, but he hasn't used it as much as a back three that he's been more successful with. So, I mean, De Zerbi, he's a nice pick. I know that it's a natural fit just based off of the whole Brighton
squads, yeah,
the whole links that we have in our club right now. But it's, for me, the priority is getting back to winning and winning right now. I'm not saying we have to win the league. I'm just saying we have to consistently get back to winning and then competing. So who offers a better chance between him and Amorim, De Zerbi and Amorim? I would say Amorim, in my humble opinion. But if we're going off of a unicorn talk, yeah, if we're able to somehow like all the stars align and we get Alonso, yeah, we can have our cake and eat it too. Or let me bite from your analogy. Have our dinner and then get dessert. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah.
Have dessert, then have our dinner.
What you said? What is that? Fuck it up? Oh shit.
Yeah. No, it's okay. You did it the proper way, like you're supposed to. Unlike Ahmed here, man wanted to have his chocolate cake first, and then he wanted to have his roast beef. You know what I'm saying?
I don't mind, man. I personally don't mind if either comes. But I'm telling you, bro, there's apparently a mysterious fourth option now. That's like legit. It's like legit news.
I swear to God, if it's Thomas Frank, I'm gonna shoot myself on stream.
It's not gonna be. No. It's not Thomas Frank. It's not Thomas Frank, by the way.
Okay.
So I said to you before, I wouldn't be surprised if it's EPL that's O'Neal, or if it's what's it called? Yeah, I could see maybe the RB Leipzig guy, or was it called? I think I've seen people say Stuttgart maybe, but again, if this Stuttgart guy was actually in the lineup, so called, the Girona guy would have to be in there for me because they both had similar seasons. So. It's a bit weird.
Gotcha. Chelsea Blue, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are, man. Welcome to the show. And
Thanks, man. I appreciate being here.
Speak your minerals, bro.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Bro.
Yeah, man. Big up Ahmed and the whole panel. So my thoughts, actually, I am on your side, Casual. I believe Ruben, he is the person for us, the sporting coach now. Based on the fact that he actually is winning trophies, and as Chelsea fans, that is all we care about at the end of the season, is trophies. So if he could come next season and maybe he finish fourth, but he come and do a league double, he come and win the Carling Cup and the FA Cup, we'll be contented with that, because we will see the progress. That is why Pochettino, he had the chance for that trophy and he blew it. I think the Carling Cup was his saving grace. He could come and win the FA Cup, but it still wouldn't mean nothing. He was supposed to win that Carling Cup. Because he didn't win it, I believe that
I can tell you're an old school fan because you call it the Carling Cup.
I'm supporting Chelsea since 2000. 5-6 when it was because of Jose, but but mostly Drogba. Yeah. So I honestly believe this ZERBI, he's what you call those hipsters, as they say on social media.
Yeah.
He'll give you pretty football. He would do all the nice things, talk nice, but what is he bringing for you at the end of the season? I could actually see him going at a club like maybe Arsenal, and they accepting something like that because that is their kind of style of football. To play football the pretty way, but for us as Chelsea fans, I don't think we would have the patience for him for all this knocking around, trying to do it the perfect. We more direct. We want the goals now, and I believe the sporting coach is the best option for that. XABI Alonso, I like him, but at the same time, I don't know if this is a one-off thing or will this be a consistent thing he will be doing on a year-by-year basis. And I don't mean to go and win the league again next season and lose no games, but is he a consistent top 2, top 3 coach going forward? Or will this just be a one-off? Or was the league just weaker this year and he took advantage of it? So it's so much of pros and cons. And with Ahmed, I honestly believe the fourth person is Unai Emery from Villa. I honestly believe it's him.
That's not a bad shout.
I wouldn't doubt it is Emery. I saw reports today with Tuchel and different names, but you see, the thing is they need a coach who could get us up the league as fast as possible. So if they can't get international and they have to look within England, Unai Emery is the best shout for them.
I mean, I hear that, but at the same time, I'm thinking now, why would Unai Emery want to leave Aston Villa? He's gotten him into Europe almost essentially.
No, but I was thinking about this casual. So with Emery now, Aston Villa as a team is how far can he really take this squad? Because the pool of players they could buy and could only buy now with Chelsea, although we are 11th or 10th, we still have the pull to get maybe an Osimhen in the summer or Nico Williams. So at the end of the day, yes, it's looking shaky, but we are Chelsea, and this is an opportunity for any good coach to say, you know what, if I bring back Chelsea to where they're supposed to be, I will create a legacy, because that is what we have done all these years. We give coaches a legacy. They come here to build a name, they win trophies, win everything, and then they could go on in the sunshine and moonlight.
Yeah,
if you understand what I said.
No, I get it. Because like elite coach, any elite coach, they're gonna come with an ego, and you know, I want a coach that wants to believe, like, hey, I can do whatever, I can do the impossible. I want that coach at my club. So yeah, that makes sense.
No, 100%. By the way, we do have an enemy in our ranks, a fraud, some would say, in Jazz. Jazz, welcome, man. I called you out. You came here. I hope you got some smoke for us, bro. But
I'm not really on the. Bro, it's late as hell too. I don't like going back and forth. So like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm here in peace, man. I'm here in peace, man. Like,
you said it's late as hell. I see you on what? This guy's on Flawless to stream around this time, man. You crazy, bro.
Hey, it depends on the context, innit? It depends on the context.
Okay, you don't want to talk about these cool managers that we might get to compete with your cool manager that we were linked with originally?
Bro, I'll be real. Like, I kind of like, it's one of those where I kind of look at it if I speak from the outsiders. Like, none of them. Like, if I had to rank them, I'd probably say Amorim, Alonso, and then the ZERBI. In terms of just of the body of work again. Yeah,
okay.
I'll go that. And it's not that I don't give Alonso this massive credit in terms of what he has done this season so far. Because I think even people also don't understand that he's actually been unbeaten in all comps. Like, he hasn't lost a match all year, which is kind of very impressive considering that Boniface been injured. He's out till April. You had guys leaving for AFCON. He had to rotate in certain positions. So it's kind of impressive. But for me, it's kind of like, I do put into consideration that this might be the worst Bayern team I have probably seen. And you obviously know I got my German.
Okay,
you know I got my German connections as well. I've been watching Bundesliga for years now. Probably since I've been born, probably. So I know when I see a bad Bayern team, this is a bad Bayern team, and the fact that we still look at them and say maybe they can still turn around is kind of crazy. But I do think Alonso's doing some incredible stuff. But for me, it's the body of work. We're talking about just a year of management. It's easy to look good in that 1 year, and then all of a sudden, and to be fair to him, even when he came in, he studied his shift very well, getting them from relegation zone all the way to at least, I think it was 6 on them.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah.
He got them their first European tournament qualification, if I'm not mistaken.
In some long time, because they have like Bayer Leverkusen's been on some very downhill. They've been on some really down times before Alonso came in, so I give him a lot of credit for what he has done.
I thought you were talking about the ZERBI. Sorry, never mind.
No worries. We were talking about the ZERBI?
I thought when you said brought him up to 6th place, didn't Brighton get 6th place last season? That's why I thought you were talking about the ZERBI.
But then
all right.
I look at also the work that Poch has done, already laid out for the ZERBI though. Like, I feel like
I mean you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Like, the players are there. The players are there, but
like he did add it to it. I'm not gonna take away from the ZERBI and say he didn't add it to it, but I'm kind of like, for the work that already was there, I feel like the ZERBI just took the maximum. But also kind of like this unpredictable, like people really didn't know the ZERBI comes in, who is this guy from Shakhtar Donetsk comes in, does this thing last season, and now kind of I think teams adjusted more to Brighton, and obviously Brighton lost players this season, and Caicedo as well, and McAllister as well, which was a big issue for him as well. But I think teams kind of figured out. That's why I don't really call the ZERBI a fraud or anything like that. I feel like Brighton just performing to the level that they were supposed to perform at, considering the injuries that they had this year. That's why I put in the ZERBI probably currently last. But that doesn't mean he's a bad manager. And Amorim, the reason why I probably have him first out of all those 3 is more so because of, again, I'm going based on what you've been doing in the last few years. Amorim's been in the professional working space for quite some time now. People obviously mentioned his time at Braga, and I think he's done the right way. Went to a smaller club in Portugal, progressed to a bigger club in Portugal, and won with both clubs' trophies. Which is, I think is the only question mark about him is him in Europe. But then it's kind of like he did get knocked out by teams where I kind of expect him to get knocked out of. So it's not like he's been getting done by some team like we did by a manager that was in prison or some shit. So it's like, I feel like, listen, all those 3 managers are kind of, I think, all in their own ways are good. And the reality is, like, obviously, it's all about just getting your squad to actually perform to a level where you should be performing. Because I think Poch, we had this conversation on Floor Stream, I think last week. I think Poch is performing to his maximum capabilities. And obviously, this team is not an 11th, 10th team that you guys have currently. And also, going back to actually the conversation that you had with Armin just now, what is with football fans not believing that you can develop football players but also still win trophies in the meantime? You can still go on and try to win trophies mid-season, like FA Cup.
Oh, that Ahmed.
That was major Arsenal vibes. Major Arsenal vibes, which people will develop them maybe, and then wait for the next manager to take them to the next level.
I'm just saying, because we laugh at Arsenal and say, look at all this development, all this stuff, and just to finish second or third in title races. But no, technically we're saying the same thing in the technicalities.
But I think what would be great to... Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, for me though, I think winning the FA Cup and winning the Carabao Cup is all well and good. I don't mind winning it. The issue for me is that's not really my primary concern though.
Nobody said this should be your standard though. Nobody said that.
But you're saying this as the players, you can win trophies while players develop. I haven't disagreed with that statement, but I'm saying for me more so, I'm more so looking at the development of the player. That's
See,
more
but-
important to me than the trophy. Win the
But,
trophy.
But-
I think,
Ahmed,
I think
Ahmed,
but don't you think a part of development is winning trophies in some sort of manner as well to players?
I feel like that would be a natural
Getting
progression.
that mentality.
It,
And
it
is,
helps.
yeah.
It helps. Not only does it
hoping
help
for the next manager
players
to give
as
me
an
that mentality.
individual, kind of like, okay, I kind of know how in certain situation I can deal with this specific sport, but also as a group as well. Like you all come a bit more together. Like again, Joseph, Pep talking up then to specifically talking about how it was important for them coming into the new clubs and winning a trophy, just a trophy, to just start off from there. And nobody's saying that. I'm not saying that Chelsea needs to be competing for FA Cups and Carabao Cups, because obviously the overall goal is to go and win Champions Leagues and league titles. All I'm saying is there's nothing wrong about trying to develop players, but also have the expectation. You know what? Whoever comes in next season, try and compete for the FA Cup, try to compete for the Carabao Cup, because Pochettino was able to do, and everybody says how much of a bum Pochettino is. So why can't these three managers that are currently being put out there not do the same thing? Will also do better in the league. I don't think it's unreasonable.
It's not unreasonable because I mean, right now, if you're whoever's going to come in next year, like this year is going to has to be the floor as far as getting to a final in one cup. And I don't know what we're going to do in the FA Cup. Hopefully, we get to a final and win it. We'll see. But that has to be the floor going into next year. As far as winning, like winning is a part of of development. I've always said in like different comment sections, like our team back in 04-05 when Mourinho came here, we weren't known as winners. Like we need a coach who has experience. I mean, neither one of the coaches that are coming in are going to win like the Champions League or anything or have that type of experience that Mourinho had, but he was seen as someone who was young and upcoming, who could rival the big managers that we already had in the league at that time, and he went ahead and did that. So it's about just having having a chance to compete against the elite teams that are already in existence in the Prem. And I don't know. I mean, it's not too much to ask from a so-called big club such as Chelsea, that we should be able to compete now.
I just got back.
Oh, okay.
No, you don't have to explain yourself.
You have to sort of think with the babies, man. No worries, man.
What? Huh?
Yeah. Like, don't worry about it.
Oh, you got kids, man.
I just wanted to get a beer. We were having an entertaining conversation.
Marshall,
No,
let me say
be a high.
Marshall, I could add something.
You know what?
Oh yeah, Chelsea Blue wanted to ask me something.
So I was thinking, as we all speaking here, and we were talking about the players winning and development and coaches. A point came to my head, and I wonder: these new young players, plenty of them, when they're learning football through the academy, it has been system football. So is it that you think the reason this team looking bad is because we really have to get a system coach? Now, if we go based on a system coach just for development to get some cohesion, then the ZERBI will make the proper choice as to bring in right now. If we go now, they said Amorim, he has a system, it's flexible, but is it like, because I watched some of his games and some of his football still depends on free flowing, like how POCH plays his football too as well. So I was just wondering, based on the squad we have right now and the players we are looking to buy, plenty of them are looking like system-based players. Mm-hmm. So do you think we should get a system-based coach first, or like to help just build the cohesion, or just go out one time and get a coach looking to get top 4 win trophies, stuff like that?
So in my honest opinion, this is only my opinion.
Yeah,
I feel like with how young our squad is, the best way to go about fixing this team without experienced players, assuming we don't get anything, nothing changes, we have the same exact squad next season. The way I would go about fixing this would be to bring in a manager who has a system, and all these managers, by the way, ZERBI, Amorim, XABI Alonso, they all have a system, right? You bring in a system that can basically, it's like training wheels for these players until these players are ready to shine by themselves without the need of a system. Some of these players will unfortunately have to will become system players as a crutch, but I think some of these players are good enough that they can eventually grow out of Jesus Christ, they can grow out of being in a system and be independent players despite whatever manager you bring in. I think Enzo is that type of player that's capable of developing outside of a system. I think Caicedo is another player who's capable of developing outside of a system. I mean, those are just the two I'll name confidently off the top of my head. I think even Gusto, you'll put in that conversation as well. So I think before we can get good football from a top tier manager, because of how young this team, I think this team is going to depend on the system. That's my take on it.
Because I realize our downfall this season really and truly is the left side. Because when you watch it, the right side, most of the players like Gusto, if Gusto is starting and Palmer is there, and even Noni, those are more individualist players where they naturally would try to do something if the system is not working. Unfortunately, on the left side, Chilwell, I believe, is a system player. Now he needs a system. Modric and Sterling needs a system. So I guess that is where we have the imbalance on the wings. So most teams have figured us out where we mostly play on the right-hand side. So if you could try your best to block off the right side, which is Gusto and Palmer, you nullify at least 75% of Chelsea there because the left side is totally weak. So that is just a little point I was thinking about when I was watching the games this whole season, this whole thing as well, the season as well.
And that also points to the brain deadness of the fact that POCH, that the fact that we're not utilizing our signature signing supposedly in Kunku in this as a 10 to neutralize that, so we can actually have a threat going up and down the middle. Yeah, he's been injured a lot this season, but I mean, he's been available to us, and we can recently for a lot of games. So we could have at least gotten to see, like, okay, so we see people are trying to neutralize our right side. Let's have a threat down the middle to kind of open up those spaces on both flanks. But he refuses to do that. Instead, he wants to use a roadrunner for some reason to, regardless of who we play, whether it's a big team or a low block. So,
but that's why I'm saying too, like, and I've said this multiple times. You guys who watch the show and watch the channel have heard me say it already. I think the reason why Pochettino wants experienced players is because he actually doesn't have a system. He doesn't have a style of play. He relies on these experienced players to do the heavy work for him on that pitch, to do the thinking for him, to know already what to do in situations where things go and get tough, and these players can turn up the experienced ones. Whereas the young ones, they're still learning their craft. They're still learning what to do in those nitty-gritty situations where when you're 1-0 down, when you're playing a low block, when you're playing a team that's letting you have possession, or a team that's pressing you. Like, they don't know how to deal with that like an experienced player would. Like, experienced player, like wow, I can't think of any right now, but Kimmich or Williams, so on and so forth. Nico Williams, of course. Yeah. He's the experienced player. I mean, I'm not upset about that transfer really, but at the same time, it's like, it's more of the same thing. And at that point too, there's no point in me getting upset about it because it's just going to keep happening at this rate. So yeah, it's like one of those things, like, we know, Poch, why you want experienced players. It's because you don't have techers. You don't have football manager degree like the ZERBI or Ruben Amorim or XABI Alonso. Let's just call it like it is. But I do want to give a chance for this interesting character to have a say. F.U. Jez with a picture of Ahmed holding the Kai Havertz kit. That's not Andrew?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Who's that?
Peter Griffin.
Otto?
Who, I have no idea who is that. Is that
Hey,
Peter?
Josh,
I don't know.
I have too many ops. That's why.
Oh
Yeah,
my.
what did you?
Yeah, of
Jazz,
course you have
what
too
have
many
you
ops.
done?
That's why, man. That's
I
why
told
you have
you.
Yeah, that is
Fatso.
Fetter. That is
Told you.
Fetter. Fetter, what do you sound like Peter Griffin, bro? What's going on?
What's going on? I don't have big ties that name tears like. Oh.
Fetter, I'm actually really curious, Fetter.
Fetter.
I'm actually really curious, Fetter. Who do you want out of this list, man? There's Amorim in that short list, XABI Alonso, and ZERBI, man. Which one? Obviously, you know, there's other
To be
managers you
honest,
probably want.
Yeah, that's a great question. I couldn't care less at this rate. Like, if I was, I couldn't care less. Like, I just want some good manager comes in. That's all. I don't care if it's Amorim, the ZERBI. You know what? I do have some red flags just because purely that I don't want to give ammunition to Brighton. But other than that, he's a good manager regardless. It's just that dealing with Brighton, giving them too much money, ammunition, you know. It's just that you're giving them what nearly 200 million now to Brighton, nearly over a year now. But come on. Other than that, Amorim seems to be all right, but it's just that negotiating with the Portuguese owners is kind of really difficult.
Well, I don't think there's really much negotiation though, Fetter. You just pay the clause, 30 million euros, and he's yours.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because you know what, I don't trust these Portuguese owners sometimes. You know, because
they're gonna go back on your word and pull the table.
I had PTSD on the Enzo stuff.
Enzo PTSD.
No, because you didn't want to pay the release clause. That was the thing.
Damn. Jazz, why you gotta be so accusatory, man?
Yeah.
No,
God damn.
Bro,
you literally talked to Fetter like he was in a negotiating table because you didn't want to pay the fee.
You don't want to pay the fee for Gallagher, you bozo. You pay the Gallagher fee then.
No, my bad. That was my passive aggressive German coming out of me right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Hey, but you still got to pay that Gallagher fee though, man. 50 $50 and it's all yours.
Get the money out, man.
I don't talk about transfers until it gets to the summertime.
Yes, you got fucking income from F1 track and the underground, man. Come on.
Hey, yo. Now, I was saying, I don't talk about transfers until it gets to the summer. Let me just finish this.
But if you want Gallagher, Jess, for you, my friend, 80 million pounds.
You are on crack. Shout out to Stephen Smith.
Casual, you feel we looking to spend this summer?
If any holiday happens, I'm jumping off from the season from.
That's what Chelsea captain right there, man. That's
Casual.
Crazy.
Because I actually was watching something. We have a lot of players to sell and can make a lot of money in. So I honestly believe there is a possibility they may try to fix over the entire attack. Because let's be real, you know, like if you're being honest, right? Modric, he needs a lot of development, and I don't think we have the time to wait on that.
Okay.
Sterling, we all know we don't want him, but his wages, so he may have to stay. But one of them have to go. We cannot go into next season with the two of them as our left wingers. So we know we are going to buy a winger, so somebody has to leave. On the right side, we have Palmer and Madueke. I honestly believe Palmer should be playing. If you're playing him in attack, he should be of a Roman 10. Like give him the Gallagher role. And get an actual right winger. Because the thing is, when Palmer when he cuts in and Gallagher comes to the ball, he doesn't spread out. The whole midfielders look congested. Gusto want to go up to the right wing, but he done already go and get the double team because the left winger dropped. So it's so compact. So I think we have to get our right winger as well too.
I didn't even think about that. Actually, when you like really start to put some thought into it, if we sell Sterling to Saudi, Mudryk goes out on a loan. One of, or maybe even two of Denzel, Washington. It just comes out subconsciously now. Washington, Dacho Fofana, and Broja are gonna get sold. And then Madueke, the future's really uncertain for Madueke. I don't know what's going to happen with that kid. Gallagher could potentially be sold as well. You know, I mean, Chelsea Blue could be onto something. We might actually be able to rebuild the attack again in the summer.
But I think that's the reason why they're on death row contracts in the first place, because they can they can retain their value, and we can get out of those contracts because they're also on favorable wages. A lot of people don't realize, like, there's an Ecuadorian kid, Kendry Paez, who's going to be here in 2025, and
true,
that kid is the truth. He is the truth. So there's the right winger for the next 5 to 10 years, right there. You know, considering we're, like, you know, in a
these
more
links
stable.
Too. Nico Williams links too, yeah.
Yeah, and Nico, and that's why, I mean, I could see, like, Palmer moving to the 10, but, like, for right now, I would say, like, they would keep him on the right wing, just mainly because I still have faith in Kunku being in the 10, and just because of his goal output alone. And I could see Madueke. We can move on Madueke just because it's been multiple managers and they all keep saying the same thing as far as him and his IQ not being up there as far as matching whatever they need him to do. So I could see that happening. Mudryk, I would rather that we loan him just because of his raw ability and the fact that his IQ is below the ceiling or below the floor. And but his raw ability alone, like, if you can have him out of the public's eye, like, let's say in Strasbourg, or let's say we get that stake in Sporting done, we can have him go to Sporting. Also, he can also enjoy UCL football and also know how to compete at a high level, but not with so much scrutiny that he gets under, you know, from rivals' eyes being here in the Prem. So, and then Sterling, I would kick him off a bridge today if I could, but it's all about you know who's going to.
I'm telling you,
man.
man.
I'm just being honest.
Know about Sterling, man.
I'm just being honest.
Streets know about Sterling,
bro. I'm just being honest. Like, I'd push him off a bridge. I'd push him off a bridge.
I watched like that 4K, you know.
But the thing is,
it feel frustrated about Sterling. Yeah, I just think that he just don't want to leave London. That's a problem as well, guys.
I mean, he's making $300K and he's back at home. Like, if I was making that amount of money in Texas where I live, yeah, I'm not gonna leave. Are you serious? The hell no.
Question. I asked the panel this before. I don't know if I was live or if we were backstage when I asked this. And I'll start with you actually, because you go to the games often and you see him often in 4K, just like Ahmed saw him one time. I gotta ask, do you feel that Sterling has that connection to the fans like previous Chelsea players have? Or do you feel like he's just another mercenary?
I just think it's just not a mercenary. I don't think he kind of find that connection like last season would, because I think at one point from last season he's find that rhythm kind of connection with the fans, but ever since he's kind of gone downhill and then goes through that declining mode, he hasn't been that same ever player since. And I just think he's just kind of fed up that what's happening at Chelsea. He's just basically there just to collect a paycheck regardless. And I do understand kind of he sometimes can be good, and then another week can be bad. So he's very inconsistent at times, you know. Like on one game you can have him like a prime Hazard on the left hand side, but another week, man, it's just too much to anger for towards him, and that's the problem as well from him. I do love him. I just think that he doesn't want to leave to Saudi at the end of the season, just purely because that he's got connections a lot in London. So,
my
you
concern
forgot the Sassy, by the way, Metal Face Doom. You can't sit here and tell me the Sassy doesn't love Chelsea.
And sorry,
Sassi definitely
Marshall, I
loves
just,
Chelsea.
I mean, the man crowd surfed at
yeah, I just want to add on to what Metalface was saying.
at fucking what you call it, at Palace. Come on, man.
Yeah, what were you gonna say, Curry Pirate?
I don't care who has a connection to the fans. What I mean is
Okay.
the way you build a connection is by winning. I do not, excuse me, Conor Gallagher has, like he stated,
Facts.
Conor Gallagher has a connection. Do I care? Do I give a shit about his connection to the fans? Because he's Cobham. Right? Silva has a connection. I'm sorry, he's not good enough anymore. He has a connection also because he won us something, guys. Right? He helped. He was part of the team that won us the Champions League. That's what the connection is from. It's not like he grew up a Chelsea fan. He was in PSG until he was like 35, and then he came to us.
Willian has
The
a
connection
great
comes
connection.
from winning. The connection comes from winning. Frank wasn't part of our team. He was from West Ham. Besides John Terry, no one was from Chelsea. Lots of people weren't even from the UK, and Drogba and Essien and Makalele and Robin. Well, you know what built that connection? Winning. I don't care about any other connection that these players give me. I don't care about clapping the fans like Mason Mount's connection last year. I want us to win shit.
Yeah, Chris,
Yeah.
that's good the fan base. Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it's more so like what I'm asking
but
is like
he's not good
did
enough
he-
right now.
Is like
No, I get
does
your
Sterling
point, but I'm
strike
saying
you-
him. He was saying, "Oh, this none of the players have
Oh, yeah,
connection."
yeah,
I'm like,
I
I
get
don't
it.
care about their
I
connection.
get
Like,
it.
I don't get that. I don't care about that.
And yeah, like I don't know how this was mistranslated, but like Metalface, I'm referring to players that want to play for the badge. Like Sterling doesn't strike me as someone that if he got a good deal for another club in London, like an Arsenal, he'll do it like immediately. He wouldn't even think twice. Like it's one of those like, does he enjoy playing at Chelsea? Does he want to stay at Chelsea because he likes Chelsea or he's grown to love Chelsea? Because we know players like, for example, and Disasi is the best one I could think of. Disasi came here. He wants to play for Chelsea. It seems to me that he's grown to love the culture of Chelsea and he truly, truly wants to play for Chelsea. Like he enjoys playing for Chelsea despite how shit we are. And you could probably maybe make the same argument for Enzo, but Enzo did move like this at Benfica as well. So I'm not going to, take a little bit of grain of salt with that one. But yeah, Sterling, just 2 seasons with him, or now this is our 3rd season. No, this is our 2nd season with him. And I'm just like, I'm not feeling that Sterling wants to play for Chelsea.
But do you think Marshall? But do you think there was like? But one thing, the major difference is that two of them players came from Benfica and Monaco. Where one from them came literally from Man City, who was competing for league season over years, being in Champions,
that is
being in
fair.
Champions League finals. So I feel like with Sterling, it's kind of like it's already hard to make a connection with a fan base when you've already been successful. So his kind of expectation was coming to Chelsea, like, yo, I'm just coming here.
He wanted to play under Tuchel, and then our
owners
owners fucked that up.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like
I get that to a certain
I feel like
extent.
it's just one of them ones where like I feel like it's hard for being a more experienced older player to come from a winning situation to a situation where now all of a sudden you've been in a situation where you don't win anymore, and it's about developing younger players. So it's kind of hard to motivate yourself and be like, you know what, I'm happy just to be here and just lose and just hope these young players develop under my stay at the club. But then again, when you give somebody like that a big contract, this are like the kind of risk. Like you kind of, the point of giving Sterling that much money is to go and compete, but it's not what you're doing. So it's kind of hard for him to go and it's hard for him to be motivated.
It is hard to be motivated coming from a winning program like City, but also at the same time, he knew what he was signing up for, and when they gave him that money, they knew they were signing him as a centerpiece, and that's the challenge that he wanted.
He wanted to be the
along.
centerpiece.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I don't necessarily
So
disagree.
he
Like,
failed at being a centerpiece. That's the truth.
Yeah, no,
So I mean,
don't.
if we're grading him on those standards, he's failed miserably, and he has to go because you can't just. If we're talking about, let's say we're talking about Nico Williams coming in, he's going to replace him on day one today.
Yeah.
So I'm not paying $300K a week to a bench player. He has to go. The dollars don't. If it's not making dollars, it's not making sense.
Don't get twisted.
And Sinak.
I was making the argument for Sterling. Like, of course, like it's understandable if Chelsea fans want him so, and it's not like he's performing to 375K. That is his wages? Or like
It's 350
it's just
350. Ah, okay, so even 350 and
with bonuses. I think it's going up to 4 or so somewhere.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
okay, right, so right there you got the 350k standard with bonuses. He's not performing to those standards, so of course it's understandable.
No, but Jez, I have something to tell you.
Yeah, go on.
The thing with Sterling, and I realize what he does. The games that he may not do good in, he would. If we play an easy team, like if I suppose it easy team in inverted commas, Sterling will try numerous times to score as much as he could and assist as much as he could. And then it will reach a point where he becomes selfish. And that has been the issue too with me, with Sterling. He has been in situations where he doesn't have to shoot. He's supposed to pass. And he wants to shoot. And he would miss or go wide, or it would be the shot would be garbage. And when it's time for him to shoot, he wants to pass. So that is the confusion. I honestly believe he's playing for the money right now. And to keep up with his bonuses, he would target certain. So just watch the next set of games you have. If we play in Burnley next, or if you have to play Sheffield again, I want you all to watch him and see how much he's going to try to score and assist in that one game. And then to the point he will become selfish and the whole attack will be thrown off, as usual again.
Yeah,
And
naturally it just doesn't.
With you guys. Like I was just kind of coming more from like a devil's advocate kind of point, coming from like a Sterling perspective. But then overall, again, it's like what you see as a fan, and as a fan, it's just not good enough. So I don't blame nobody if people look at Sterling that way.
And mind you, Jez, like I'm not saying like Sterling is just like an all-around shit player, like how most of our fan base does. I think he's okay. Yeah, Sterling, like he's an okay player. It's just the fact that if he would, let's say he was making like 100K, I'll be like, all right, cool, he can stay. But he's making 300, and he was billed as a centerpiece. he was billed as a centerpiece, when we got him, and he hasn't been close to that. So, and it's been 2 years. I mean, granted, it's been like 2 very tumultuous years, but we're like a lot of these kids, I would hope, would be looking towards him as for leadership, and he just looks as inconsistent as our kids. So again, it always everything, the bottom line always comes down to the money. If it's not making dollars, it's not making sense, and he's not making a lot of money for our team right now.
And Sinak, I honestly believe too, Chelsea may force him out the club, because if we have to get Osimhen, if we really go in and buy all these attackers, Osimhen is not going to be on no small money. We have to be honest. At least maybe 280 starting. Yeah, so minimum. We cannot have Sterling on 350 there, Osimhen on 280. Then if we actually go with the reports we've seen here, but the Nico Williams, they say the issue is not paying the release clause, it's paying his wages. Because I think he's making decent money too as well in Spain. Or he wants decent money now.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just saying he makes 100 after taxes. So he's already making as much as Mudryk, more than Palmer, more than Lavia, more than Conor Gallagher, basically half our squad.
Yeah, and then and then we'll watch reports too. I saw something today with Joe Shields saying he trying to get us Nico Williams and Olise. He want to go back for Olise again. So these players' names that are coming up now, we cannot pay them no Gallagher wages like a 70,000 or 80,000. These players will be coming here good enough, decent players that at least starting 100, 150 for some. So it's still in 350 there, they will have to try to get him off the wage book.
I disagree. We definitely can't afford Osimhen. We just have to sell players. And we have to get certain players like Cucurella and Sterling off the wage. But what were we going to say, Curry Pirate?
I feel like we already have 65 million in the bag by the end of the season, because Lewis Hall's obligation to buy is going to be activated for like 27 million pounds. And then I'm sorry, the way Ian Matheson's playing at Dortmund, someone's going to pay 35 million pounds.
Yeah,
Anyone's
100%.
going to pay 35 million pounds. So you have like almost 70 million right there.
Yep.
So what, you can facilitate the other 30 million by just selling Trevor Chalobah. That's your money for saving FFP. Keep that till July.
And Gallagher too.
July. Yeah, so I'm not even counting that. Let's just say those three. Keep that till July 1st. Now we've passed the threshold of FFP, then you sign Osimhen. There you go.
Yeah,
and I'm not even counting, like you said, the Gallaghers and other, like, you know, we're thinking of also selling.
He just did the math for you,
and so on and so
Metalface.
forth.
So, yeah,
You
it's
know, and
there.
we
The
just have
money's there,
Cucurella
so don't believe the
still.
pundits. Mhm.
And you know, not even Gallagher. Bro has still an option, even not even at 50, but let's see, even at a 20 million. Like you're reaching close to 170.
And we still
Like-
gonna
like-
sell Lukaku too as well.
Yeah, Lukaku's
Yeah,
gonna be
Lukaku
at
we're breaking
6,
even on,
guaranteed going to
but we
Saudi.
save the wages from Lukaku, which are absorbed in. So even though we're breaking even on in terms of wage, like in terms of transfer fee, at 32 million, we're letting go of that like 300 plus K a week wage that we could just spend on Osimhen. So I don't
and
get that.
Sterling, by the way, like I genuinely believe
Sterling, I'm
And
like
look at what
iffy
you-
about, but like let's just count the short things. I'm just counting the short things that we're like that we feel like are like 95% sure, right? And we have the money, so I don't get where we're gonna
I think
not
so.
have money.
You see, Marshall, is based. You see, this is the situation. I guess the board has put us in as fans. Where you see, is it that we're gonna wait for the coach and then sign and sell players, or we just gonna do that as a season, then move on players or look to sign? Because based on the players we buy, it will determine the coach we are getting to as well. You know. If the club chooses to just buy the players still based on data.
That's why I'm like that. I know Ahmed wanted to bring up earlier the whole situation of like we have to fix the directors and stuff, which I agree. We do. We have to fix the directors for sure. I really want to bring in like a proven top of the top of his classroom, for lack of a better word, world class sporting director, but working based off of what we have now, and I am not hearing any links or rumors that when Stanley's going to get the sack, Lawrence Stewart's going to get the sack. Unfortunately, it's one of those situations that you look at the links. Amorim works with what he's got. His team gets picked apart season after season after season. Even this season, he lost Ugarte, he lost Pedro Porro. He lost good players. Yeah, he still is competing in his league. And even with the ZERBI as well. If it wasn't for all the injuries that the ZERBI accumulated, he's working with what he's got. He's not being backed. He didn't want Moises Caicedo to be sold. Moises Caicedo was a big integral part of his team. And despite what he wanted, he got sold. We bought him, and he's still making it work. So a manager that is a yes man. You're muted, by the way, Ahmed. You've been muted this whole time.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, sorry. So I've got a question for you, Marshall. Yeah, because this
Go
is
for
like
it.
my fundamental.
You got your Sterling
But,
army, by the way. I've been meant to tell
Ahmed,
you. You're
one,
building up your Sterling army, man.
Casual, just one more thing, before you go.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
All I wanted to say is that, and that is why when you think about it now, I believe it will be the ZERBI now, because it will be easier for when Stanley and them to work with him, and then based on certain players we bought, as we now realize that Egbali is the one with the power. And if we go back on transfers, he was the one that went across to get Mudryk, I believe. He went across to get Enzo. And I think he wanted Caicedo. Well, he was there for most of the big name signings. And those are the three major signings right now at the SCU that have the most pressure in Chelsea right now. Enzo, Caicedo, and Mudryk. Right now, the so-called football fans are calling them flops. Some of the fans who support the team too calling them shit. They're not good. So I think the ZERBI might really be the coach to come, honestly. If he really break it down one by one. He's the perfect fit just to come fit in. Enzo Caicedo, is the same as McAllister and Caicedo, Argentine next to him. Yeah, Levi Colwell there, Modric. All right, I know you from Shakhtar, from Ukraine days. And he would, and I think it may be the better suit in their eyes. I don't want him, but I could see why they would take him.
Yeah. I agree. I can see exactly why they would take him. Ahmed, what were we gonna say?
Bro, I've got a question for you, and I've said this to you before. Yeah, what happens? And I will always repeat to you: what happens if whoever you bring in, says, "I do not want Osimhen, and I don't want Nico Williams," for example. Like, because those are the two guys we're looking at again.
Tough
What
luck.
then?
Tough luck. That's exactly what's happening at Pochettino.
Ahmed.
But we can't say tough luck and then ask them to come.
Oh shit!
So
Pause.
who's gonna say no to really good players unless they have a rebuttal of the a separate option? So if you're what are you trying to say? Like, are they saying like, oh, I don't want Osimhen, but I want Gyökeres?
Another guy. Yeah. Or something.
Another guy?
I'm like saying, for example,
are you just saying that they don't want him at all?
No, I'm saying that let's say they don't want Osimhen and they want another person, for example. Like at that, you're gonna both clash, aren't you? At that point, for example, that's the point I'm trying to make. Is that maybe the position that the player in the position you want might not be what the manager wants in that position, and we've kind of had this scenario already with Poch, if I'm not mistaken. No, and we've had it with another previous manager. Do we not? If I'm not mistaken, we had a similar situation with Poch. If I'm not mistaken, no, or am I just getting confused?
The Poch and who did he want? Because the only thing I can think of is the Ugarte, but then that's PSG are bidding us, right? So
No. I think it's he wanted some level of experienced players, but we were kept on bringing in, you know what I'm saying, someone else.
No, but the thing was we were going to try to get Vlahovic, but then Lukaku also fucked it up because it was going to be the thing of Lukaku goes to Juve, but then he fucked it up with the Inter fans and Juve fans were pissed at him. And also Poch said no to Vlahovic as well. So it's a double-edged sword.
I heard what Ahmed is saying though, in terms of what if the new manager, not that he doesn't like Osimhen, but he doesn't prefer the type of striker that Osimhen is.
And that's what I would say. I would say it depends on who his alternative would be. Like if it's something that's slightly less but comparable to Osimhen, like Gyökeres or whoever I can't really think of, then I'll be like, if it's if it's someone that we can be like, okay, well, he doesn't have as much, he's not as proven, but I could see he has a higher ceiling, then okay, it'll be a thought. But for the most part, if I'm a new manager coming into a squad who doesn't have experience, and Osimhen has a ton of experience doing it in multiple leagues, I don't know who would say no. I don't know, out of all the three managers that we're talking about, I don't know who would say no to him. Nico Williams, maybe because of his age, but Osimhen, I mean, I don't know.
But it's the type of player that he is.
But I would say the
okay.
Let Duke go.
Yeah, no. Big up Metal Face Doom, the man, the myth, the legend. Welcome back, brother. Been a while, man. Hope you've been good.
Yeah, big up. Yeah, hope everyone's okay. I've been well. Other than the side of things. So is everyone in here agreement? Poch is going in the summer.
I would hope so.
Is everyone here on the same? Yeah.
You would have to assume so, yeah.
Wouldn't spit on him if he was on fire. Yeah, he has to go.
Let's go see that. Yeah.
Doom, what were you gonna say? You have a slight delay,
so
we're just waiting for you.
Do you know what?
I think his mic's kind of going off and on.
Mic cutting off. So.
Might be some signal. I think he just asked who would we want in, and if he's going based off of the options that were put in that tweet, that shortlist, I'm picking Amorim first, and then probably Xabi Alonso second, ZERBI. But I'm hesitant to put Xabi Alonso second. I'm not gonna lie to you, just because I don't know. I have to see it again. I feel like this is kind of like my gut is telling me it's a fluke. But if you're not going off the list, Tommy Tukes, Hansi Flick, sorry, but I mean, if anyone else wants to disclose,
Wait, you take Tuchel, bud.
Oh yeah,
man.
I take Tuchel back.
No,
you don't know that.
Give me Inzaghi. Give me Inzaghi. I'm on my knees. I'm on my knees. No pause. No pause. I'm on my knees. No pause. I'm on my knees.
Cause mayhem.
I need Inzaghi in my life, bro.
I'm not even trying to turn anything into like some crazy debate or anything. I'm actually want to know like what the feeling is with the Chelsea fan base when it comes to the Tuchel links, because I saw that when I woke up.
It's very 50-50.
So
it's just like it's just like the Chelsea fan base with everything, Jez. Like Mason Mount, he's either shit. No, it is. Mason Mount, he's either shit or he's world class. Gallagher, he's either shit or he's generational. Tuchel, he's either shit or is he washed.
Marshall, people are just trying to place the nostalgia buzz with Tuchel. That's all it is, bro. Like, we need to keep it real. That's what it is with Tuchel. Tuchel is fundamentally not doing well at Bayern. That's what it is, Marshall. Whenever I hear people,
oh my god, this waffle is
no. I'm gonna be so serious here. Whenever I hear about Tuchel, when I see people talk about Tuchel, yeah, it's always the nostalgia about the good times they brought us.
Just because the football he's playing isn't attractive and entertaining for you doesn't mean he's doing bad. His record in the Bundesliga is actually good. He would be winning the league if he wasn't up against an undefeated Leverkusen. Why can't you get that through your head? He's still in the Champions League.
I'm so sorry, bro. I'm so sorry to tell you, Antonio Conte. I lived through this. Antonio Conte. If I can. He's been like so.
Without him, we would have been relegated with Potter.
At Tuchel's worst, hey Ahmed, at Tuchel's worst, we were sixth.
I'm sorry to tell you guys. I'm sorry to tell you guys. I think for me, fundamentally, I have a belief that you don't go back. My personal belief on Tuchel,
but he won't never come back.
You don't go back to your.
I don't want to. The owners won't allow it.
Yeah,
and for me, I have a policy with managers. Yeah,
that's worrying.
I have a policy when it comes to managers. Yeah, don't go back to your ex. You know what I'm saying to you? That's my policy.
Oh, shut up!
You
don't mean that. You don't fucking mean that, bro.
I swear to God, I mean that, bro. That's why I don't want Mourinho back, because I'm like, I love Mourinho, but again, I have the policy. Don't go back to your ex. Even
we went back to our ex with Mourinho. We won the fucking league.
No. But that's I'm even saying when he came, I was under that pressure because I was like, I don't want him to ruin his legacy at that time. Yeah. Even so, for me, any manager that's left in good terms with us, don't come back to us, bro.
Fuck your policy, man. What do you mean? Fuck your policy, man. This is a fucking Chelsea football club, not Ahmed policy.
People want to keep on talking about you.
Maybe I should have asked the question.
No. Listen, these guys.
What you done, Jess?
Jess, you don't need to ask. A lot of people are attached to Tuchel. They're too attached to Tuchel, bro.
Why you love Tuchel? Why you love Tuchel?
It is, man. I'm sorry to tell you, boys. He wanted me to UCL my gaffer for that, bro. But after that, we need to admit it was going downhill too. It was going downhill.
No, what? Oh my god! You trigger me so much.
You're lying to us, bro. You're lying to yourself if you don't believe that. You are lying to yourself.
Weren't the players not playing for him? Weren't the players not playing for him the season Bully took over?
Ahmed to that brown envelope, Ahmed. Oh my days.
Bro, Madrid, yeah.
Brown envelope's up to his eyeball fetch.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, Curry. Here's the thing. Yes, maybe the players weren't playing for them, but were the players even good enough to begin with? No.
Nope. Can I give you a counter argument? We're saying the same thing that the players weren't playing for him for Bayern. Players weren't playing for him at the end of PSG. So how come all these players stopped playing for him?
Players aren't playing for him at Bayern, yet he just won 3-0 against Lazio. He's still going on in the Champions League. He came from a losing deficit.
Do you know why? Because they know he's leaving at the end of the season.
At the season, he's piecing out.
That's stupid. That is a stupid argument. They know that he's leaving, so they're just going to decide to play.
I watched him lift the UCO.
No.
Okay, and if they're not, because he's out of all the cups, and if he's not, then what?
You know what the players downing tools. You know what that looked like? That looked like the end when we got knocked out of the Champions League on Tuchel's first full season. That's what it looked like to me when the players down tools. What Bayern is doing right now does not look like that to me. Just because he's leaving at the end of the season, why? What like the? I have watched them. Yes, I understand their football is not entertaining. Their football is not inspiring. I get it, but at the end of the day, Tuchel's getting results.
I'm so sorry, bro. Why do you think I have to watch entertaining football to believe the manager's good? There's multiple managers that don't play entertaining football to be playing football. That's not true.
And I'm sorry, and Nagelsmann last year before he
so
got
you'd
fired,
rather ZERBI over Tuchel or Jose? You'd rather Robert ZERBI over Tuchel, Jose, or Flick?
No. I'd rather have Tuchel over ZERBI for me, but I would choose Alonso over Tuchel.
What about Jose?
I would choose.
Again, I would have Tuchel probably over ZERBI in reality, but the problem for me is fundamentally with Tuchel, the man management is becoming an issue. It's happened at back-to-back clubs. Even if I think the Chelsea players, which I by the way agree with, are shit. Yeah, if it's happening also at Bayern now, it's happened twice now.
You guys have to factor into something as well. Number one, our fan base is a mess right now. It's a complete mess. There's one side that hate POCH. There's one side that hate the owners. There's another side that hates the players. Our fan base is a mess.
Doom hates all of them.
The only way to get the fan base is get manager in. I'm telling you now.
Tuchel get Tuchel back in
this team just purely because they will unite the fan base as a whole. Simple
I agree
as
with
that.
I'm so sorry to tell you.
I don't care about uniting fan base. Winning unites the fan base. Winning unites the fan base. I don't care about uniting the fan base because of a manager.
It's ridiculous, bro.
Winning unites the fan base. That's what unites the fan base. Winning.
That has the player pro have in the background. Have some shame. Wallahi.
Yeah, because trolls has
you need to get Sofa in here to get Amazon backup.
Because they're linked with Potter.
I'm hearing he's gonna give them vertigo. He's gonna hug them. I'm gonna hit you with another question.
Fuck you, Jess. You want to see Mourinho on our
team? Wait, Ahmed, I need to speak on this last part.
I've got something for you, my friend. Yeah. Corey Parra said this, yeah, and I agree with this. Winning brings us back. Listen, yeah, for all we can say about, for example, Amarin won something. We can say he's a winner. You know what I'm saying to you? Whether we want to know, he's a winner. So if he wins
thank you, Will. Tuchel definitely makes you toxic. Thank you.
Wait, Doom, real quick. Listen, I agree with Amarim that if he comes in and he wins, hold on. If he comes in and he wins, he will unite the fan base. Let me give you two examples of winning. Just winning itself isn't going to unite the fan base. Under Sarri, we were doing pretty well. We won the Europa League, but that did not unite the fan base. Why? Because Sarri did not have a connection with the fans like Tuchel did. Amarim is a very charismatic character. He can unite the fan base because if he gets the results and he knows what to say in front of the microphone and he knows how to unite the fan base and talk to the fans, then he, I believe, will be a charismatic character that will unite the fan base.
You see with Amarin, if he wins the Europa League this season, I'll be happy to take him. But right now, no, I don't want him.
I get that.
I get it.
I get it.
So, Doom, who do you want to be the manager for next year?
He's Tommy Tuchel or Jose. That's him. Through and through. Go back to the or Flick. Okay, yeah, fair enough. I mean,
TT or Jose.
I would bat an eye.
So my thing is this, okay?
Go ahead, Curry. Yeah.
So you can Nagelsmann had a falling out with the board and AK the key players, AK Neuer, because he fired his goalkeeping coach that was there for 10 years, and Kimmich, Esra Muller. That's it.
He's already
one game that series. No. I'm saying during that Bayern season, he lost one game the entire season. It was just a falling out with the senior players. Okay, he had a striker of Choupo-Moting. No, he had a striker of Choupo-Moting last year, and Neuer was out for the season. And this guy was in every competition and still winning the league.
Thomas Tuchel, after he came in with whatever point he did, went from getting out of every competition and winning the league in the last day by a Musiala goal. Okay, let's forgive him because he didn't have the prep time. He has a preseason this time, has a Harry Kane upgraded on a Choupo-Moting. Norris back to full health, and he got the best defender from Serie A last season, and he's out of almost all competitions except for the Champions League, and he's basically done for the Bundesliga. He's lost the Pokal, he's out of there, and he's out of their version of the Carabao Cup. So what excuse does he have this season when last season was the Choupo-Moting, and now he has a 30-goal striker who's on 33 goals. He has a better goalkeeper than the reserve goalkeeper of Bayern Munich, and he had the best defender from Serie A join his club. Then he also chose to bring in Eric Dyer. He chose it when he could have had other options. So you tell me what's the excuse from this season with Bayern Munich when he's had so many upgrades?
That is not.
What is not true? What is not true?
That is true.
He literally has Harry Kane. He has Kim Min Jae.
By the way, that's a lie.
That's not a lie.
Okay. How is that not a lie? Jez is there. He what do you watch Bundesliga more than Jez does? You're telling me both signings, we're going to sign Eric Dyer.
You tell me.
Yeah, they're about to tell us.
Wait. Amigo. Tranquilo. Hold on. So you say this Bayern Munich team, I think that this is the worst Bayern Munich team I've seen in ages here. You got Neuer.
Should be worse than last year.
Neuer has been here for 11 years now. You got Goretzka in the midfield, has been, God knows, for nearly 10 years now already. You got who? Kimmich's already 29. He needs to move somewhere else, apparently. Then you got injury. Like I could not. You know what? I discount Musiala, Sane, Gnabry, Tell and all that. Yeah, because I thought they were ballers in my opinion. You saw you got Midi, Mazraoui on the right hand side, then Pavard on the left. Forget Alphonso Davies. He's a good player, and you got Rafael Guerrero. Guerrero's Midi. You think Tuchel get out of that team? No way, man.
No, but the thing is, Guerrero.
I'm sorry.
Bro. He was signed under him.
What's his signing? And excuse me, last season was Choupo-Moting compared to Harry Kane. What are you giving me for that BS? And Nagelsmann was undefeated with this team. The same team 1 year ago, they were undefeated. They had lost one game. And Choupo-Moting was their main striker, and Neuer wasn't even their goalkeeper. And Neuer is still one of the best goalkeepers in that league now. At whatever age, it doesn't matter. Thiago Silva was good first 2 years ago at 38. So why are you making a big deal about Kimmich at 29 or Neuer at 35 when we know goalkeepers last longer in their prime anyways? So what's this BS about him being 35? They had a backup goalkeeper for the entire season last year, dude.
But I think what Fetter and the people who are Tuchel in are trying to point out is that similar to Chelsea, Tuchel has inherited quite a bit of a mess in terms of Bayern. Yes, Bayern, you can say all the quality players and all this and that, right? I agree with you. There are players there that he should still be getting results with. He shouldn't be losing against the lower league sides. But I look at the season he's having, and it's honestly no different than what I saw Hansi Flick do, than what I saw previous Bayern managers do before him. They from time to time will lose those games against Union Berlin or
what about the cups then? What about the cups? Because Hansi Flick won all the cups.
Hansi Flick, he won all the cups, but I think in the second season, didn't he lose? Didn't he get eliminated from a cup early?
This is where the issue came with the fact that Hansi Flick did fall out with the board then, and you had the disconnect already. Then he ended up getting sacked, I think, in the season, or relief from his duties, whatever. But I think
I will say,
let me actually come from like a more balanced opinion, because I don't really have any strong opinions towards Tuchel. Always some people have. You're going, Marshall.
Well, no. What I was going to say is just before I let Mediterranean Menace, welcome to the show, bro. I want to hear what you have to say. Before I let him talk, though, it's with Tuchel. I feel like if you gave him this Chelsea project where he doesn't have to worry about recruitment, we know his talent ID is shit. All right, that much I can admit. His talent ID is absolute garbage. Oh, yeah, 100%. And same thing with who else is really Erik ten Hag. Erik ten Hag's talent ID is absolute shit. But you give him an actual board of directors and all this and actual recruitment to build a team for him, like what they did for Jurgen Klopp. I think all those managers can cook.
But
Even
okay,
Tuchel.
then just a quick one
But
question.
that means we have to
One-
change the board, and we don't know if we're going
one
to change the board. We're
question,
talking about this.
question,
Well, no, I'm not saying change the board.
Nah,
Let Tuchel work with the
Tuchel-
board that he has right now.
That is it,
That's
but
what I'm saying, that we have right now.
Tuchel will talk
Sorry,
shit
CP,
about this board, but they're beta males anyway. So I
Nah.
mean, shit, it might be a match made in
Oh
heaven.
my god!
Hey,
Like
I
for
agree
real,
with
let's
you
be
about the board.
honest.
I agree with you about the
Let's
board.
go,
but I'm
let's go,
saying
let's
the
go,
thing we
let's
know
go,
will
by the way.
change.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
Yeah,
let
let's
me hear what Jez had to say, and then I want to hear Mediterranean
go,
Menace.
Yeah, because now, obviously, before I go to the question, because like I said, I don't have no emotions to this Tuchel thing, so there's no agendas, there's no such thing outside things that blow my mind or anything about my opinion of him and Bayern. Because I do think I don't blame anything on him. What's going on at Bayern, for example, this season, like Will mentioned, Bayern was always on a steady decline. People it's struggling. It's just so hard to see it because it's such a. I mean, shit. I call the league Bayern Liga, and I enjoy the Bundesliga. So it's hard to see a team that's dominating so much on a decline, and then you just all of a sudden see the decline. Ironically, for Tuchel's luck, he happened to be the manager that sees the decline, and everybody can see it now. But to the same degree, you have to also look at the fact that he had a lot of influence in the squad that he has currently built. And yes, Fatih was saying, for example, yes, he has Maserari at right back. He's playing. He bought a right back in January and playing him at left back, for example. He chooses to play players who are not even right backs to play. He's choosing midfielders to play right back. When Maserari, in my opinion, hasn't even been bad this season. He hasn't been. Sane, who has not scored a Bundesliga goal since October, continues to play him for no reason. When Matthias Tell comes in, immediately put an impact. And of course, the kid is young. I understand you don't have to start every year, but at least trying to fit certain players in that can help. For example, they brought in a youngster to help out in the midfield, Palahovic, I think is his name. How much it has helped. How much it has helped that Bayern midfield example, and it's had even helped their season. And I think it's just Tuchel's dumb mistakes that he's trying to make up now. For example, there was a period in the season where Tuchel was benching Musiala for no reason to show him guys like Müller, guys like Gnabry. It took only till Gnabry got injured that Musiala even gets into the 11 again. But then now he's doing a situation where Musiala is playing out wide, or he's playing like a roaming role in the Bayern team where he's getting forced to having to play in certain positions outside his stronger position just to see Müller in the 11. And I kind of get the Tuchel's the type of guy who likes experience, but you see the talent of Musiala. You play your best players in the best position. That's just another reason why I believe Bayern had struggled this season. So do I think there's part where Tuchel's to blame for? Yes, but I also do think there is a part where the board has a lot to answer for. For example, like why is Leon Goretzka still at Bayern Munich, for example? But again, these are questions to ask for. Bayern Munich fans. But I do have one last question before I leave, which is, can you do me a favor? Can you do actually a poll in the chat if you want Tuchel back? Yes or no? I actually want to see it later.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that. But you have a good night, Jez. Thanks for coming on, man. But to answer or to go build off of what Jez was saying, and then Mediterranean Menace. I'm sorry to keep you waiting, man. We'll get to you right now. To go off of what he said, I genuinely believe, and I think most of us here believe, if Leverkusen was not undefeated, Bayern would be leading this league, even with the record that they have, even with how shit the football's been. They would still be getting away with being first place in Bundesliga. So, I mean, that's just my 2 cents. Mediterranean Menace, what are your thoughts on Tuchel, I guess, or your thoughts on the manager shortlist, Amorim? I was about to say Hansi Flick, I wish. Amorim, the ZERBI, XABI Alonso.
I'm out. Big up everyone.
Have a good one. Yeah.
Big up.
Look, you triggered Fatur that you summoned him again.
Big up, everyone. I'm your thought still, but hold that Celtics, man.
Too many Tuchel munchers in here, man.
Hey, hold that Celtics, Ahmed. Hold that for Celtics, Ahmed. Hold that for Celtics.
I'm not a Celtics fan. You keep on saying that, big man.
Yeah, hold on, Celtics. Yeah, you moved to the Nuggets, you fraud. You're such a fraud. You're such a fraud, Ahmed. You're such a
I
fraud.
just want to hear what Mediterranean Menace has to say.
Laker Nation forever, man.
It's all
Laker
good,
Nation
it's all
forever.
good.
You can hold that.
Y'all are wild. Y'all are wild. Mediterranean. Mediterranean. What do you got to say, brother?
First, big up Marshall and big up everyone on the panel. Yes, I guess with that shortlist, if I had to choose one, I'm probably sticking with Ruben Amorim. Now, obviously, that's somewhat of a controversial choice considering obviously the other two, but I just think this particular squad needs, for the most part, needs structure. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, coaching as well, but I just think due to the majority age of the squad, structure is probably my biggest gripe I have with POCH. So if I had to pick one, but I'd probably throw in a few other names in that list. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say that's the manager I would pick, but someone like a Nagelsmann or a Flick, I'm definitely someone who advocates for those. Inzaghi, to a lesser extent, I haven't watched enough into games, but Inzaghi, if he was willing to come to the Prem,
Well, I'd take him in a heartbeat.
On my knees,
yeah.
man.
He's about to win
2
Serie A.
But
Two leagues and a Champions League
hey,
final.
that's the
2 leagues
second
and a Champions
time,
League
CP,
final.
you said some suspects.
Dude, I'm sorry.
Come on,
Inzaghi has mesmerized me these 3 years, man. I just can't. I
mean, it is impressive what he's doing. I'm not gonna lie. It is impressive.
Because I don't know what you guys think about this whole idea, this notion of hiring a manager that's already won something, or versus a manager who hasn't won anything but has like a clear style of play that might be good on the eye, might be, you know, like the system just fits certain players that probably we have in our squad that haven't really realized their potential yet. And most of the squad, like I said, are so young. To even say that they've even reached anywhere near their potential is ludicrous because they have absolutely not reached their potential yet. So that's why, yeah, I advocate for a manager that has a clear identity over, say, maybe even trophies won just yet. But look, if we can get a manager that's already won something, I'm all for it. Especially, I said, if even if Alonso, hypothetically, I doubt it will happen, but if we were somehow able to throw our hat in the ring and convince him somehow, and he won the Bundesliga, that would be good. But I think, yeah, I don't know what you guys think about my take, but yeah, I just personally think this squad needs structure over anything.
Doom, I'm curious what you think about that. Yeah, we can hear you, man.
Alright, sweet. Sorry, what was it? I had to come out. My phone's playing up. Is it about proven manager and unproven?
Proven manager who's won trophies versus someone who has a system or a style of play.
Well, personally, I see no style of play. And me personally, when we were winning under, you know, Jose, first or second time, you could even argue Conte. There was no style of play, really. Park the bus, people used to call it. You know, you used to get one goal, park the bus. Even some games we get 3 or 4 goals, park the bus. We won the double under it. You know, we won the Prem back to back under it. And me personally, I don't really care about style of play. If you're winning games, you're competing for trophies and you're getting silverware, you know, in your trophy cabinet. All this new age tiki-taka football, you know, I don't really long for that. I don't really care for it. Like, you can boot the ball up the pitch, you know, simple passes. You know, back when John Terry used to pass, used to boot it up. You know, Mata used to get it, give it to Drogba. Or Frank Lampard used to get it, give it to Drogba. Or used to boot it down the wing. Lampard would run in late into the box, get it, score us a goal. So me personally, I'd get a proven manager, you know, sell a lot of these players because, you know, they're not good. Build a spine, get some experienced players in, you know, someone that these kids can learn from, because I don't see who these kids are learning from. You know, Raza, Raheem. Me personally, I think he's our best attacker at the front three, but he's hot and cold. You know, he's not. He's like, sometimes he's prime, like Fat said. Sometimes he's prime Hazard. Sometimes he's fucking. Don't know. Sometimes he's
hot shit. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Silva, he's getting old. There's no experience in that midfield. You know, me personally, I think he's a shining light in that midfield, but he's not Chelsea level. He's shit and all. So we need
But
some
Doom, I have a question for
players.
you.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying about building the spine, but don't you think our owners and our directors kind of fucked that up already? Because don't you want to build a spine with players who have been like for example, wouldn't building a spine have been better off if we had just kept Jorginho? Well, I don't want to say Aspie, but Jorginho, some experienced players who were in the regime with Tuchel, Conte. I don't know about Conte either. Kova, yeah, I can give you the argument. Conte, the injuries were kind of in the way, but building a spine around those players who had won something, who had been with the previous regime, who had been with the previous managers, because I can't think of any player that you could bring in right now and be like, I want you to be the spine for this team. I want you to embrace Chelsea culture. I want you to know what Chelsea's all about. You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, yeah. Well, back then, it would have been the Declan Rice, but obviously he went to Arsenal, or like Frankie de Jong or whoever. But the owners sold them players because of the wage bill. You got to realise it's not because of they were inept or they weren't good players. It's because of their wage bill. They wanted to lower the wage. They sold pretty much all the wage bill. You know, even the players like the Mason Mounts, the Kai Havertz or whatnot, they were sold because of the wage. Like, they wouldn't sign the contracts. Gallagher will probably go as well because there's an ongoing contract negotiation with him. So, yeah, I do get building the spine then, but back then it was bit more simple, you know. All you really needed was a goalkeeper, maybe a centre back, but the main priorities was a striker, a DM, and a goalkeeper. But now we just got a lot of shit all over the pitch. So if the owners want to save our club, which they won't because they only care about the money, but the way I see it is you bring in elite, experienced gaffer. You sell a lot of the deadwood. I say deadwood. You sell a lot of the shit players, right? You buy 3-4 experienced players in your spine. So that could be Barella in your midfield, or like who's that person from Bayern? I forget his name, but the DM for Bayern.
Kimmich.
I forget. Kimmich, yeah, or like a Kimmich, and a striker. I say Osimhen, but like I said, I don't know. Like, would these players come to us? We don't have no Champions League football. Like, that's another thing. Would we cough up the wages for that? So that's why the whole system thing. Basically, we need an experienced gaffer to come in, not a yes man that will tell him, "I need this, I need that. Let me kick on." You know. And non-injury prone players as well, like Osimhen as well. Like, he's a bit injury prone. I don't want to see us buy Sesko.
I think the injuries. I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of the injuries are coming from fucking Poch. I won't lie to you.
Yeah,
the training, and I think that's part of the reason. That's part of the reason I'm hesitant with the ZERBI, because the ZERBI has Bielsa training as well. He does intense training.
Well, they said the same thing with Poch though. They said he's got intense training. Everyone was saying the same thing about Poch. You know,
although Marshall, with ZERBI's training, it's also more balanced than Poch's training. Like, there's a lot of tactical sessions and things like that. Also, it's not as intense. Like, there's more structured like recovery periods as well. Like, even at Tottenham, Pochettino was like complained about for how intense his training was, and it's one of the reasons why they got rid of him as well. So,
he was doing double sessions for people. He required if you were injured, you had to do double sessions in order to get back to what he felt was the team fitness.
That's insane
levels.
to me. That is absolutely insane.
Not to mention, he apparently trains the hardest the day before match day as well. How many other managers do that?
Exactly.
So stupid.
But you don't. You say that. I can see the vice versa. I can see him coming here, not kicking off, and then people just complaining. Why is he training so hard before the match? The players look tired. They look tired already. Like, they don't look motivated.
Well, why
That's
you have
all.
to?
Like,
That's
we're
when you
just
have
a
to
mess
use
right
the
now.
question: why do they look tired? Or is it because they don't want to be here? I don't get the sense that they don't want to be
I
here.
don't think they're
I don't
motivated.
get the sense that they're not good enough because I've seen them perform at other places. So, I mean,
Where they're not proving at
all
other
the
places.
fingers kind of
Like
point at
what
Poch mostly.
what players performed at other places?
Enzo, Caicedo,
Enzo
Nkunku.
Enzo had about 8 games in the World Cup. Yeah, he's okay, but the World Cup's a completely different pace. He was at Benfica.
Yeah,
for
but he
half
played
the
at
season.
Yeah,
Benfica
but
in
at
Champions
Benfica they
League.
were up
And
by
Boca
He
Juniors.
played
That's
for
the same place
Benfica
that
for half the
River Plate
season,
that Alvarez came
and
from.
even then he weren't that good.
half
Don't
of
tell
Yeah,
me
Europe
but
was
like
after
like what
Enzo.
like what
Boca
Curry
Juniors
Pirate
where
just
Alvarez came
said.
from.
Like what Curry
Boca
Pirate just
Juniors
said.
where
Europe
Alvarez came from.
was
Alvarez came straight
half
from
of
Boca
Europe was after
Juniors.
Enzo.
River Plate,
The
yeah.
only thing is that he doesn't look and even when he came to us
Yeah, River
under
Plate.
Potter, he looked amazing. Like everybody agreed, like, oh yeah, he's the one. He's a really good player. The difference is with this year is that he's not playing up to the level that we want him to play, but also we all can agree that Poch's tactics are shit. So
But you
I mean, I'm not gonna
also got to agree
judge.
that
I'm sorry.
Enzo was playing next to different players last season. He was playing next to the Jorginho that's sitting the DM, or a Kante or a Kovacic. He's not playing against a Caicedo and a Gallagher. You know, he had sometimes Mason Mount in front of him, or
But would you say that we were more organized last year compared to this year?
Yeah, because last
All right.
year,
So then, if you're more organized and you see that Enzo is playing better and in an organized setup, wouldn't you say like if in an unorganized setup it would be logical to say that he looks worse? Wouldn't you assume?
Oh, this is also true, by the way. Now that I think about it, Enzo didn't get to play with Jorginho, unfortunately. I wish.
Oh, I wish too.
They left in the
Looking
same.
back
He
at
played
it,
next to
yeah.
Kovacic.
same window, weren't they?
Yeah. I wish.
But I mean,
I
Potter,
never
he was-
wanted
he
Jorginho to
was-
leave. You're muted, by the way, Ahmed.
You're on mute, Ahmed. You're still on mute.
He literally was playing at one point. Enzo, Gallagher, and Mount. Like, are we forgetting that? That was like kind of like a main midfield for us, like because we for the majority of the time because of the fact that Kante was injured, Kova was also injured. So and Kovacic at Man City, big up to him, barely plays, and he's been getting injured too. So he would probably be in a similar situation to where we are right now with Kovacic, sadly. So that's a kind of a dilemma that we would have.
It was diabolical, anyways. You know, we've been on
That's the point I'm making. Even if he did
since-
keep Kova, he probably would be suffering with a similar injury issues as Lavia, I would argue. So
yeah, I mean,
and Gusto's an improvement. Gusto's one of the best right backs when healthy in the league right now.
Yeah, I don't agree with your take on the players being shit. There are some shit players. Don't get me wrong. There are some shit players, but I think with the right manager, like say what you want, like it could Doom. I'll give you this. It could be Jose. It could be Tuchel. It could be Flick. I think those 3 managers would actually improve the squad tremendously, and you will actually see how good these players are.
Yeah, but they need to get some of their players in because I don't see these players.
Because I
actually maybe you can, but
I actually agree with you on a lot of what you said. You know, if we sprinkle in some experienced players at key areas, especially along the spine, having a little more experience at all 3 levels, I think that the turnaround in this squad will definitely be quicker than all of us think at the moment. But as far as us having like a lot of shit players, I don't think so. I think we do have shit players in this team, but at the same time, we have a lot more promising players because I can see them in a better structure. I can see them playing better than they already are because we're only getting by in moments rather than us actually imposing our will on teams like we should be.
You know what? When we was winning, it was boys against men. So it's men against boys. Now it's vice versa. You know.
Yeah, but
I
even
get the 2 point,
even our
but when we
past
won,
legends, I'm sorry, even
yeah,
our
sure.
past legends were
Yeah, go ahead.
boys when like we keep forgetting that. Like the
Yeah.
arguably our best season ever, 0405, those our average age was like 23, 24. Like those were kids,
It was,
but
Yeah,
they were
but
yeah,
talented
it
and
was
they had an
25.
elite
you got to
manager.
realize
You know what I mean?
is
So
that
they became the legends that we see them as today, but they started out as kids
John Terry.
first. We
Set a structure as well.
exactly. That's my
Exactly.
main thing is fix the structure of the club first, and
Yeah.
then, like getting a elite DOF. Fire the beta male directors that we have now, or if we have to, we can keep one just because the only good thing is that we're finding talent from that we wouldn't that we were see like as promising, and then allow that DOF to hire the new manager, who he may be, and then start
Okay.
building the team along with for where the manager works with the DF and builds the team according to a collective image rather than just, oh, we're gonna pick the players, but you're gonna have to work with what we got. Like I don't that's doomed. That it's that strategy is also doomed to fail. So a lot of my solutions are more structurally based for the club.
Agreed.
If we have a better structure, like I think we have good enough players to become competitive starting next year, but also like a structure will have us compete for the big titles in, like, let's say 2 years rather than what it looks like as like 3 or 4. You know what I mean? We all
Yeah.
want the same thing. We all want our club to be elite again. It's just we all can agree that the process that we're going about it is not right.
Grueling. It's a grueling process right
Yeah,
now.
it is.
And sorry, with regards to the age that you were saying, Doom, if we get an Osherman, our average age for a front line is going to be over 25, because if we're keeping Sterling, based on reports right now, he's 30. Osherman is going to be 27. Nkunku is going to be 28, and then Palmer is going to be 23 next season. So if you're talking about a front line of experience, that's your experience right now. By next season, also, Desasi is going to be 26, and then you have Chilwell. I know he's not good enough, but if we're talking about quote unquote experience still, he's going to be like 28 or something, and Reece James is going to be 25. So I get there's inexperience in the midfield. I can agree with that. But if we get an Osherman, I don't think there's quote unquote lack of experience in the spine. Like I think Petrovic, but Petrovic has been doing pretty well for his age, in my humble opinion. So it's like
He's been better
it's
than
only the
Sanchez.
midfield that. Sorry.
Said he's been better than Sanchez, Petrovic. I'll say that.
Exactly right. So it's like we're getting experience in striker, right? And then we have a Sterling and Nkunku who are experienced. Like, okay, let's not even count Sterling and Nkunku. He's experienced, right? We're hoping he's healthy. And then it's the sauce is going to be 26 next season, and Badishil is going to be like 24. So now we are getting people who are reaching their mid 20s now, right? And we're linked with Todibo, who's turning 26 as well. We were linked with at least in the winter to get it this summer for center backs.
Yeah, there is some like. Go ahead, Doom.
One thing I want to address now about Golka. My phone's heating up that mad, but what are your thoughts on the Strasbourg? The old Strasbourg, did you not hear about that?
What about it?
Well,
They're today or yesterday.
Honestly, it's damn if you do, damn if you don't. Like, it's not like I don't know enough about the situation, but last I heard, and Curry, maybe you can correct me on this. I'm pretty sure they're not. They're like just mid-table. They can go to top. They can go to top 4, top 8 place, or they can go to relegation. They're like smack in middle. So
kind of like where we are.
I don't under. Well, I feel like we're quite a bit of a cushion away from relegation, but at the same time, like I don't understand really. Like it's not like last season they were playing fantastic football and Bowley brought them down. Like, or not Bowley, Bali, I should say. Like Clear Lake brought them down. Like nothing has really changed in terms of like their quality in the league. So I don't understand I think they're just bitching for the sake of bitch. They just don't want change. I genuinely think that's what it is, but I could be wrong.
Well, they did the same thing they did here. They sold all the experienced players and they did an under 23 model. Well, for us, it was under 25. They wouldn't buy anyone under 25 or 26. Because I remember the reports were coming out. They weren't going for Ivan Toney because he was too old or something. I remember everyone was saying that. They've had enough, you know. The board promised that they'd meet them. They never met them. They sold their experience. They've got under 23. Some of our players are playing there, like that winger.
Angelo.
Yeah. What was his name again? The winger?
It's Angelo. It's Angelo. Gabriel.
Oh, okay. Angelo. Yeah,
Angelo.
Angelo, yeah.
And they got Santos now as well.
Yeah, he's on the bench recently. But
yeah, he hasn't been playing yet.
Yeah, and they're taking a stand. So
I get that.
So hasn't Iqbali taken a more executive role over there? Like Iqbali's sort of taking control.
If that's true, I hate that.
Himself.
If that's true, I'm genuinely I'm hearing all this about Iqbali's taking like the reins on these things. It's like, bro, can you just back the fuck off? Like, can you just take a moment to look in the mirror and realize you don't know fucking football? Like, do the buying of the players, set up the structure, but let the footballing people do the footballing shit. Why must you be involved in this shit? Like, why are you treating Strasbourg like it's a toy? Like, it's not a toy. Like, this isn't like an MLS team where you can just like, oh, fuck around and be safe. Like, no. Like, there are consequences to you not performing well in these leagues. Like, stop. Like, you know what? It strikes me as like that in like entitled brat money. Like, oh, I have this now. I'm just gonna like do whatever I want with it. Fuck your feelings. Like, I have money, so like. It's just so fucking annoying, and it's just a bad look. I genuinely don't like it. I don't like it. But Curry, I'm sorry, you were gonna say about Strasbourg, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of circumstance. So last season they finished 15th, and this season they're right now 12th. I think the bitching has been, I wouldn't call it bitching, but their complaints have been closer. They haven't won their last 5 games in specific, but also they were literally playing like top 8 sides. Like the last 5 games was PSG at number 1, number 2 at Brest, who's literally second in the league. Then it was Lens at number 6, and then I think it's Le Havre who's below them at 16th, and Montpellier that's like slightly higher than them, or like right below them. But it's like mostly they've been playing against top of the league opposition. So I'm sorry, you're not gonna beat a PSG right now, or Brest, or like. I'm sorry, bros. Like, and I get the point about selling their experience, because I did check that squad out and I was like, holy shit, their entire starting 11 is like 21 to 23, and there's 2 people who are 25, and I couldn't believe that. So I get that point to an extent, but what are they expecting a year in when they were like relegation fodder and barely skipped last season? Right,
that's what I mean. Like, that's why, like, when I hear about them protesting and stuff, like, I can't really give it much like energy, because I know they're a better team this season than they were last season. That's for sure. Like, they were at top of the table at one point, not top of the table, but they were competing at one point earlier in the season, and then they dropped down and lost a few games. Yeah, in the beginning they were competing, and so like the team is there, and they're not even a year into the project or a season into the project or whatever until the takeover. So it's just like I genuinely think it's bitching
like
for the sake of bitching.
PSG and if you're playing like top 6 teams in your last 5 games, what are you expecting? Like, even if you have,
don't get me wrong, obviously,
players, like any results can happen technically, but like still, like, dude, it's literally PSG and Brest, and like, what do you like expecting?
You think it's a case of because these new billionaire owners, quote unquote, Blueco, came in to obviously buy majority stake, they just assumed that they get all this money pumped in, much more better quality players. And
they're saying we're spending the money on young players. That's their complaint. It's like, we're spending them on young players and not experienced ones. And like they're like, what's the exact project if it's not to win? and that's
I'll
fair
be
enough.
honest with you.
But also, like,
honest with
what are
you.
you planning to win with Strasbourg right now when you guys were 15th last season and almost liquidated like a season before because of lack of money? Like, now we're at this weird point where you guys are like Burnley with way less money and you're expecting to magically jump to like top 8 in like a season and a half.
Well, you've got to
When you-
realise what they've did over there is exactly what they did over here. You know, they came into Strasbourg, you know, they sacked all the DOFs, you know, they sacked their manager, brought in geezer from Palace, Patrice Evra.
Vieira.
They brought in
But-
Vieira, you know, they sacked all the DOFs.
What's
you know.
wrong with
Bowley was our
that?
DOF at one point.
But what's wrong with that?
Bowley
When their
was our
previous
DOF at
manager,
one point.
they were relegation fodder. What was wrong with them firing their entire DOF and everything at that point when the DOF didn't provide them players? Because why were they relegation fodder for like a while? And why did they barely escape?
Well, you got to
15th when,
realise
like,
that. You got to realise they was only promoted to the League One a couple of years ago. They were in League Two, League Three, the league below that at one point in French football. So they've never been elite winning like Chelsea was. You know.
No,
But
fair
that's what
enough.
I mean,
so exactly.
Doom, like-
what
They were
are you
never up
expecting?
there.
Then? What are you expecting?
But that's
then
what I
in
mean,
terms of
Doom.
winning?
Like, so this is my take on it, Doom. Like, if the roles were reversed, right? If that was like Chelsea, and we were dropping all the way to 15th like that, which at one point that did happen. I would if the fans reacted like the way the Strasbourg fans did, I would 100% be like, yeah, that's fucking merited. This Chelsea, you can't be losing like this. You can't be this low on the table. You can't turn our team into 21, 23-year-olds with like just one or two. Like, I understand we're just about there, but we're at least close to being in top 6 with a few wins and lucky draws here and there. Like, we can technically get there, and we have competed with top sides, but that's besides the point. That's whatever. You could have spent $2 billion. I don't give a fuck. At least our owners are spending money.
Arsenal
Unlike,
Arsenal haven't won the league with like $2 billion spent. So what are you gonna say to them? It's like,
well,
bro, like I can give you $1 billion.
It was about 800 million, but yeah.
No, I'm saying since the last won the league. I'm saying not like since Arteta.
Oh,
took over.
yeah.
If you want to count since winning the league.
But it's like again, like at least our owners are spending money, which I'm okay with that. At least they're spending money, unlike whatchamacallit, FSG to a certain extent. I think they spend their money wisely. They have the money, but they spend it wisely. And God only knows the
Spurs,
Manchester United, Glazers.
Yeah. If we had the Glazers, we'd be fucked. We'd be fucked. Absolutely fucked. Like, we'd be fucked. I don't wish to have the Glazers. If we had the Glazers, we've been fucked. They wouldn't have spent anything. So at least our owners are spending and just spending it in stupid places, which I think you guys can agree. But like that's what I mean. Like this team wasn't really. They were fighting relegation last season, and then we brought them up. I genuinely think, and I hate to bring it down to this because it seems like such a lazy argument. I feel like if we took over and they were competing, even if we didn't turn their team or sack anyone, they would have wanted Ekbali and Clear Lake out anyways. They just wouldn't have wanted it at all. They would have protested the moment they could have. That's just genuinely how I feel. They just don't like the new owners. Kind of like how it is to a certain extent at Chelsea. Some people at the Chelsea fan base just don't like the new owners at all. That's fine. And especially considering the legacy Roman left, like it's hard for people to accept change. It's hard for people to want to, especially considering what Roman did for us and how much he loved the club. It's hard for people to accept change. I get it. So with Strasbourg, I think it was damn if you do, damn if you don't. Genuinely, like maybe because they're American, maybe because they don't know heritage, they don't know the football and all this shit. I genuinely think even if we had gone a different approach, not turned a team into a youth team, hired more experienced players there and all this and that, or signed more experienced players here and there, I think they still would have found a reason to complain. That's just my 2 cents on it.
That's fair.
Yeah. But on that note, I mean, gentlemen, that's the show. I'm glad you guys came on. Doom, it's always lovely to, despite our disagreements, I enjoy talking to you when you come onto the call-in shows. Genuinely, I mean that. So big up to you. Big up to Mediterranean Menace. Big up to Curry. Big up to everyone that joined the show today. Big up to everyone in the chat. Thank you for coming on. I think this was a really awesome discussion. We got to talk about a lot of the new ownership. Not the new ownership. What am I saying? The potential new managers. If some of you didn't know, maybe you learned a little bit about them as well. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Maybe in the next 2 weeks we get heavier links to XABI Alonso, or Tuchel comes out of or left field. Who knows? It's kind of exciting to a certain extent, because I just can't wait for Poch to leave, man. This guy's a bottle job. So I'm done with this, man. So big up to everyone. Before we leave, as always, smash up the likes. I swear to God, Niak. Smash up the likes. Be sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Hit the bell notifications so you're notified whenever we do go live. Check out the links in the description so you are aware of when we go live, aware of all the other content that we have available as well. Check out the comment section. Leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts on everything and your 2 cents on that. And before we leave, as always, you give shout outs to the members that are of the proper casual and higher tier. So that's going to go out to Hassan Nawaz, A. Solomon, Uncle Gestures, Will, Adrian, Scott, Dark, OG Turbo Jesus, and EE. Appreciate you guys for supporting at the tier that you guys support, and I appreciate everyone else that's also a casual for supporting the channel. So like I said earlier, we are at 2.5k subscribers. Let's try to work our way to 3k. And for those of you on Twitter, I hope you have enjoyed the show as well. Smash the like on the tweet and retweet and all that fun stuff as well. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for the love. We're going to be rating Staffy TV, so go ahead and copy and paste that message. Let them know where you're coming from. You'll be seeing me there on American Idiot every Monday. There's a playlist of my appearances of American Idiot over on the YouTube channel as well. You'll see it at somewhere in the middle, somewhere in the bottom. So if you go to the Casually Chelsea page or Casually FC page, you'll see the American Waffle playlist there. So, all right, ladies and gents, we'll see you over on Staffy TV. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for coming on. And as always, stay casual. Peace.